You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving week here. Back in studio, Action Sports Jax 24/7 networks. Kind of a short week around here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before the Thanksgiving holiday. So maybe you're having a long week. Hopefully you don't have to work too much. That would be nice if that's the case.
Come on.
Everybody had a fantastic weekend, though, didn't you?
I mean, it was nice weather, yeah.
No disappointments.
No disappointments.
The emotions were in check.
Yep.
Man, unless you're a college football fan, but even there, Florida State won, Georgia won, Miami won, the Gators won. Oh, what's going on around here? Just take the Jags out of the mix and you do okay.
Miami won. Tampa Bay won.
Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite of a couple weeks ago, right?
I mean, did the Jaguars win the bye week or not?
Well, sure, we did. I feel like we did. I mean, not really. Jay doesn't think so. Jay thinks the bye week won.
I feel like it was close.
Come on, Jay.
You know why they lost the bye week?
game.
Is because it's still infuriating watching other teams play compared to the way the
Oh,
Jags
I'm sorry.
play.
Are you talking about parity in the NFL? Are you talking about on any given Sunday, any team has a chance to win? Yeah, it's how it's supposed to be.
It's unbelievable. Like that part is like Houston losing, Tennessee winning, the logjam that exists in the AFC continues, and what was there for the taking, right? I mean, it's kind of nauseating to look at it that way.
Oh, I'm
Jags
sorry.
fans.
Dallas Cowboys, your team's in shambles. Head coach is going to get fired. Going to Washington, a tough team. Yeah, go and beat Washington. You're all good. Parity, Brent.
Yeah, parity. I have no idea how the Jags are going to come out of the bye week. Obviously, they had such a mess against Detroit, and it feels like so far ago now.
Yeah.
So I really don't have a good feeling, maybe until we get down there this week, of how they're going to react, and that would just be a gut feeling, by the way, anyway, to bounce back against, again, a Houston team that you would suspect, okay, you're way better. They're 6-point favorites on the road here in Jacksonville. The way they look, like they are not a good football team right now. I think they're 2-4 in their last 6, and they were lucky to be 5-1, quite frankly, in their first 6. I mean, not only lucky, but they got some breaks to even be there. So this is not a very dangerous football team right now in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk any smack about him, Brent,
No,
because of what we have here in Jacksonville. I hope people keep on saying that Stroud is overrated. Is that good of a quarterback? Because why does my gut instinct tell me it's going to be a C.J. Stroud get-right game in the city of Jacksonville?
Well, the crazy thing about it is they've actually done an okay job on C.J. Stroud in his first 3 games against Jacksonville. Like, I mean, okay, by even when last year. It wasn't like he lit them up. I don't remember the numbers, but remember the game here where they got beat? That was a special teams win, mostly. Now, he made a couple nice plays in the game, not saying he didn't. It's not like he played poorly. Like right now, he's playing somewhat poorly, right? I mean, he has, I think somebody said his touchdown-interception ratio is that of Daniel Jones in the last, 4 or 5 weeks or something.
Put him at safety.
But, I mean, look, they were winning a lot of close games early on, and now they lose a close game. I mean, Dallas, they did thump last week. Detroit's Detroit, but they actually just play close games all the time, it seems like, for the most part, even against the Jags earlier this year. They're going to win the division, in my opinion. I don't think this is a team that's going to choke it away, but I wouldn't have said the Jags were going to choke it away. I wouldn't have said the Titans are going to choke it away. And I wouldn't have said the Indianapolis Colts weren't going to choke it away. It's 3 consecutive years. And it's only a 2-game spread right now with Indianapolis.
Yeah, but I have a hard time believing with Anthony Richardson that he can kind of will them to. I mean, unless Joe Flacco wants to come in and work some more magic, I think it's Houston's division.
Maybe they should sign Daniel Jones. See if
Who's
it works.
The Colts?
He'll be a Raider.
Yeah, it sounds like the Raiders are interested, right? I mean, if they were just pedestrian at quarterback, I think they'd be okay.
I mean, if I'm petty, I'm signing with Dallas and taking on the Giants. If I'm petty, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that, but I don't see any smoke on that. I felt like everybody else was talking about that, and why not, right?
That'd be fun.
Is there a team who's the worst team right now to be? The Jets or the Giants? It's not the Jags, quite frankly, because nobody's talking about the Jags. Like so there's not.
Well, because we had a bye week.
Well, I know, but even they're not talking about like I can't believe they're not talking about the things we're talking about. In New York, they're talking about you let Saquon Barkley go, you lost Barkley, and you lost Daniel Jones. In the Jets, all this Aaron Rodgers stuff. Where did it go? Was it? It wasn't as hot yesterday as it was like Saturday.
No, but they're still talking about they're probably going to try to get rid of him, and then maybe another team will pick him up. Like, in terms of dysfunction, I have no, because here's the thing. With the Jets, I get it. Like, you try to gamble on a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. It didn't work out. You try to give him what he wanted. It didn't work out. Like, yeah, hindsight's 2020, but I get it. I don't understand the New York Giants and everything that they decided to do. Whether it was pay Daniel Jones that new contract, whether it was let your best player in Saquon Barkley go, whether it was let Tommy DeVito start yesterday, let Daniel Jones play a scout team safety. I just think more, I think there's a lot more concern right now. And you hear, like, obviously yesterday with Neighbors kind of talking a little bit like, hey, I don't know, I'm not getting targeted in the first half. Ask coach. Yeah. Like, you get there's some disgruntledness going on in that locker room right now. So I would say in terms of dysfunction, I know the Jets are in the spotlight just because of Aaron Rodgers and everything. He's such a polarizing figure, but I think the Giants are actually more dysfunctional.
Yeah, the neighbor stuff is. How do you look at the neighbor stuff? You're like, oh, fireworks, or do you like, well, at least we got Brian Thomas Jr. He's quiet through some of the times when he doesn't. Like, how do you
saw Brian Thomas Jr. on the sidelines though look a little pissed off as well.
Handled everything in front of a microphone pretty well. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're a great wide receiver. Yeah. Like, you want the ball. I mean, I'm not mad at Neighbors or like look down on him for saying what he said, and he wasn't even like disrespectful. He just said, "Ask coach."
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian Burns too.
Yeah, Burns.
Yeah, Burns.
Well, that was funny. They called each other. They called everybody soft on the team. You know, I mean, they were bad. That was a bad football game. That was an easy game for Tim. Again, there are a couple of games. The Giants and the Jags have orchestrated easy games for their opponents the last couple of weeks. Yeah. I mean, those are. It's not supposed to look like that. I mean, look what Carolina did. Mm-hmm. Carolina against the Chiefs. Holy cow, where'd that come from?
Seriously.
I mean, that
Parity, Brent. It's called Parity. And I know we don't know what it looks like here.
I know it.
But it's called Parity.
Well, we did for the 3 weeks. I mean, we played 3 of the best teams in the National Football League, including the Eagles, Packers. Packers, I think, have won 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Eagles, obviously, are 9-2 now. Mm-hmm. And the Vikings are they 9-2 or 8-3 or something like that? I played 3 of the best teams and had a chance to win all of them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the Jags were right there. Problem is, the Jags are supposed to be right there this year. They're not supposed to be a bottom feeder. Carolina is. Bryce Young, nice little story for him finally.
Yeah, man.
Coming, and you get people believing in a guy like Bryce Young. Will Levis got people believing a little bit up there in Will Levis.
So do you think they have bought themselves enough equity to be starters next year in Will Levis and Bryce Young?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
But where they're picking could determine that as well. Like, I think they're going to have the chance to go in there to be the starter, especially based on what's out there. I mean, outside of Sanders, do you see anybody just coming in right away and be like, okay, this is my team, like I got to start? I don't know, man. I don't know if the quarterback stuff is deep enough. Like Nussmeier and Beck and... After
seeing what Bo Nix is doing, I think anything's possible now.
That's true.
Because I didn't think Bo Nix is going to come in right away and make that big of a difference. But you pair him with the right coach.
Yeah, and pair him with the right coach. And Nix has a little more of Beck in him in terms of his experience. Mm-hmm. You know, he's an old guy, and I think that helps. I mean,
Cam Ward will be the closest one to him, really.
Yeah, Ward, actually, you're right. Yeah, Ward.
You don't think Dylan Gabriel?
Well, there are a couple. There are a couple of them then. Yeah. It's just a matter of if you think they can just jump in. But I think they'll also, I mean, it'll be one of those messy situations. Like if Tennessee picks a quarterback, it'll be, all right, Will Levis is our guy. And then he throws one of those goofy picks. And hey, you got to put the next guy, you know,
head down sprint.
Some of those. Yeah, it'll be, but he's playing better football. I mean, he still had a pick 6. He's a little bit, you know what he reminds me of? Bortles.
Will Levis?
Yeah. In the sense that, the disaster plays are disasters.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the problems with Blake. Blake, when he would throw it to the other team, it looked like it was a pick 6. Mm-hmm. Maybe it would go off somebody's helmet or foot or stuff. It was weird stuff. And so it just became like this headline-y type thing. He actually reminds me a little bit of Bortles. He's got sacked like 20 times. He's got a passer rating over 100 and something in the last 3 weeks. He's playing pretty good football. Is that just a stretch? We'll see. Jags got to play those guys in a couple of weeks. And here's the other thing about Levis. Their defense is good. Like, Tennessee's defense is pretty good.
They are.
Been one of the best in the league. What are you laughing at?
Mr. Pico Boulevard, Joe Henry. Yeah.
Hey, will Houston win the division?
Yes. Yeah, because I don't think it's going to be Anybody? I mean, the only other team I can see winning it is the Colts, and once again, I just can't buy into AR right now. So I think it's Houston's.
I don't know. I mean, I think so too.
I mean, I haven't seen the schedules or anything, but
well, they got to play. The way everything's set up, it seems like it's more. There's definitely going to be some more AFC South matchups with the Houston Texans. Let's find out. Let's just see what they got. They did have this first place schedule they were supposed to be playing. So Jags, Dolphins are playing well. Chiefs, Ravens, Titans.
Well, row a little bit, huh?
Well,
So their bye is
yeah, they don't have
after the Jags.
after the Jag late bye, yeah.
Very late by.
So if the Jags beat them, they're 7-6. And again, this isn't a case for the Jags. Just follow me. I'm just saying if the Jags beat them, they're 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs and the Dolphins, Chiefs and Ravens.
That's 1 and 2.
Yeah, maybe. And then it comes down to at the Titans, who they just lost to.
Colts got the Patriots, the Broncos, the Titans, the Giants, and the Jaguars.
Wow.
Watch it come down to the Jaguars game again. Please let it come down to the Jaguars game.
So say that again on Indy.
They have the Patriots, the Broncos, the Titans, the Giants, and finish up at home, obviously, against the Jaguars.
That's
Broncos
an easy schedule.
Yeah, it's a very easy schedule. Broncos will be tough, obviously.
Broncos' hardest game, yeah. Wow. Easy schedule.
But Titans might be, I mean.
Well, yeah, listen, Indy's not good.
I'm not ready to give them their flowers
They could lose to the Patriots. Patriots are a weird team. Once in a while, they play a good football game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Jags,
and they could lose to the Jags. Yeah, so, but that's an.
Oh, they probably will lose to the Jags. That's the way that usually goes.
But you line your schedule up right now. I don't know what the odds are for Indianapolis to win the AFC South. It might not be a bad little bet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 2 games back. Now, the thing about them is, did they already lose twice? They did. They lost twice to the Texans. So they can't win the tiebreaker. So that's obviously huge in that regard. But wow, I mean, things get a little goofy for you go all the way back to the Jags game, right? If you can steal one game along the way against Houston, now that's even worse for the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
So
You still have a shot.
yeah, but the Texans did lose to the Jets, so they kind of made up for some of these wins with a loss like that. They've lost to the Titans and the Jets. Then they lost to a couple good teams: Vikings, Packers, and the Lions.
I mean, is this the Texans' struggles solely to do with Stroud? I mean, obviously team game, but is that the biggest thing that stuck out to you? Is that he just doesn't look the same?
Yeah, I think everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a sophomore slump." It's like, no, this is what the league does, Austin. The league corrects on you. Now, some people can get past it if they're a good team or everybody else, but usually the league corrects, and then they figure you out. And I think what they started to figure out, if I'm not mistaken, I don't watch every Houston game, but they're really playing a lot of zone against him. And they're saying, all right, pick your spot, or where to throw it. He's been inaccurate. Mm-hmm. He's thrown some bad interceptions.
14-9 TD to interception.
Yeah. So he looks uncomfortable. And what's interesting is Slowick was like, hey, bring Slowick here, right? Look what Slowick's doing. It's the OC. Look what, obviously, Stroud's doing. It's like, hold the phone. Now, I was shocked that they couldn't figure it out last year. I was stunned that they gave up all those big plays and couldn't figure it out. What people started to finally do now is say, okay, we're going to keep everything in front of us. Now,
they're still going to. I mean, to me, it's Nico.
It's still Nico, and he's been in and out.
If Nico's in the game, it makes the biggest difference in the world. I think if Nico's out, it really limits you in terms of that big play potential. Now, obviously, you can stack the box a little more. You make things harder on Joe Mixon. So I think it really boils down to how good of a wide receiver Nico Collins is.
Well, in fairness to him, too, he's also lost Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Right? Tank Dell's been in and out of the lineup as well. Mm-hmm. So, and I think what they do also, I think they're a little bit undisciplined, even against the Jags. Like, they'll have false starts. I think I read somewhere they had 2 touchdowns, 33-yarder and a 77-yarder to Nico Collins called back because of holding. Mm-hmm. So, in the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So, I think they don't play very disciplined ball all the time. Mm-hmm. They usually have pretty good defense. Defense will keep you right in it. And that's why they're in every football game. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about Stroud? I mean, is it way different than you did last year? Like, who's the best quarterback in the AFC South?
Real quick.
Is it still like far away Stroud?
I'm still going Stroud. Yeah, until I don't know like how the numbers compare to Trevor right now, but I got to take Stroud still.
Last year, he had 7 games where his average completion yardage was over 9. So over 9 yards of completion. 7 last year, 0 this year.
Steven asks, what's the opinion if the Jags run the table on the remaining games? And I've thought about this a lot, and I think there are actually people in Jacksonville, believe it as how down they are on the Jags, that think this could happen. Like
if they run the table?
Yeah, and I don't know where that's coming from. Even me, Sunshine and Rainbows guy. I do think they're going to win some of these games. Like, I really do. Well, a lot of it will depend on Trevor, which we'll get into in just a moment. And Doug talks at 11:30. Can we get more information on Trevor Lawrence? But let's assume, for the sake of this conversation, Stephen brings it up, that the Jags have Trevor Lawrence. I think they actually will win some games. I think they're going to keep battling. It's not a team that shows that they're going to just fade away. I mean, I know they faded against Detroit, but I think there were some circumstances there too. I don't think that's what they're going to look like. I think they're going to bow up off that performance. I'd be stunned if they come out super flat. Now, nobody's going to be there Sunday, so it's going to be a flat environment. This team has not responded well to that in the last couple of years. They see other people's jerseys in the stands and stuff, and I think they get like a little weird about that.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just think they do. I think they've mentioned it, like, oh, we saw the Giants jersey. But, you know, back in 22, they were surprised, this group of players, to see that many visiting fans.
Sure.
And all you got to do is go to Indianapolis yesterday, and Detroit filled up the whole bowl. And all you got to do is go watch that Rams game yesterday, and the Eagles were all, I mean, that's just the way it is sometimes. But this one, you're going to have to create your own energy. And this is a football team that in their home opener in week 2 and in the Monday night game couldn't create any energy. So there's some concerns even just about how they're going to come out. But if they do have Trevor, and running the table seems so unlikely and impossible, this is the problem with not making a move now. And I've said this. I said this before the move. And so I want to almost like go on record saying it so you can call this up, Hamby, on January whatever. If the Jags win like 5 out of 6 games or 6 games, they're not going to fire Doug Peterson. But what does it mean? Like, what does it mean that they won those 5 out of 6 or 6 games? Who have they beaten in the last year? And I think that's why you maybe should have made the move now to guard against that. You're better than a lot of these teams that you're going to play, with the exception of Houston. Like, they're better than the Jets. They're better than the Raiders. They're better than the Titans, and they're better than the Colts. And those are the teams they're going to play. Doesn't mean you're going to win them, because the Jags have been better than Cleveland, I thought, and some other teams along the way and haven't won. But I'm just telling you, and all you need to feel this is go look in Gainesville. Because in Gainesville, he was gone.
Correct.
And a month later, not that everybody's throwing him a parade, but they're certainly okay with where they're at.
Guys, somebody in the post game asked him real quick if this felt almost like winning a championship, the turnaround.
They really asked him that?
Yes. Serious question.
Interesting. Listen, it's been
And
a
he
hell
said
of a
no,
tournament.
I hope?
Yes, he said we're just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah, that was where that was a good soundbite, actually.
Okay.
But that's how things change, and that's what I'm trying to get to everybody. Like, if they do win 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6 or something like that and go on a little bit of run, which I do think they're capable of doing with Trevor at quarterback, and somehow find it off this thing. Because, again, if you say, Brent, you're an idiot, there's no way. Well, you would have said the same thing about the Gators a month ago, is my point. And they're off the deck.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense turned it around out of the blue in Gainesville. Obviously, the quarterback's playing pretty well. They got them battling. They beat 2 ranked teams. I mean, just unfathomable stuff a month to 5 weeks ago in Gainesville.
Do you think if they wouldn't have offered Billy the new contract, they would still be in the same spot?
Well, I think they had built some momentum, Austin, before that. Before that, they had got a couple wins, and then they played Georgia really tough before he said, okay, we're sticking with him. He's coming back in 2025. And then they go lay the egg against Texas.
Yeah.
But I think it's helped them kind of gather everything. But they were believing in what he was saying anyway, is my point.
No, I hear you. But like, my question is, like, do you think this team would still be what they are right now if they wouldn't have offered Billy when they offered him? Like, if they would have said, let's wait and see till the end of the season, do you think the Florida Gators would still be in the conversation that they are right now?
I'm going to say yes. I get what you're saying. The noise gets really loud. I'm not sure I've ever heard the noise louder than it was, though, in the first few weeks. So, Hamby, it's a good question. But I'm going to say, yeah, I think they were playing for him. I think they kept playing for him. I don't, to your point, though, it's a good one coming off that Texas loss. Mm-hmm. I think this is as much about DJ Lagway as it is about Billy Napier, but I think Napier certainly deserves a lot of the credit for keeping this thing together and having those guys believe in. It's a hard question to answer, but I'm going to say, yeah, I think they would be.
Yeah, so many people, are sticking with DJ Lagway saving Billy Napier's job. I think, obviously, DJ Lagway deserves a lot of credit, but I think Napier deserves just as much. I don't think it's a freshman saving a head coach's job simply because he's he's playing great football at the quarterback position. I think Napier, regardless of that statement from Strickland, that vote of confidence, would have this group here. Brent, I'm with you on this, especially after that Tennessee game. He talked Saturday about there was just a time when they had an open date. They had practices all week. This was before Texas, even before Georgia, where he just saw everybody really buying in, thought it was the best practice he said he'd ever had in 20 years of coaching. And I know, how can you even quantify stuff like that? But he's seen the belief and he's seen the buy-in, and I think that's because of him. That's a lot more because of him than it is a statement from your AD that most of those players probably have never met, and by your quarterback. And it seems like they've jumped now, I think 12 spots. They were 10 spots in the recruiting rankings since that statement, and they just flipped another 4-star this morning.
So here's what I think with Florida and the whole contract thing. I think if the AD would have went to Coach Billy Napier and said, hey, we're going to see how this season finishes to see if we could bring you back or not, and you put the extra pressure on him, I don't think that would have changed anything. I think Florida would still be the team that they are right now and winning and having success. And I feel like if that was the case, they would have offered him at the end of the season. After that Ole Miss game, I don't know how much more you need to see, but I feel like after the Ole Miss game, yeah, he's staying here. That's all you got to see. But I do also think that the quarterback does make a difference a little bit. I think you look at Florida State right now with what expectations were for Florida State going into the season compared to where they are now. A lot of that stems, no one's saying people are saying Mike Norvell is obviously a bad coach, get him out of there, but it comes down to what you invested on, and you're starting quarterback in DJU. So I do think something is to be said for a quarterback. It can change the whole program. It can give you new energy, a new lease on life, if you will. Not saying that he saved his coach's job in Florida, but it didn't hurt.
No, and everything that comes with the Lagway part in the college ranks, right, from keeping him there on campus and everything else. So, again, the Napier stuff was he's coming back in 25. It wasn't this long-term deal that he got or an extent. It was just, hey, He's coming back. That was the statement. What's interesting in this play here, and again, what we're doing here is relating it, and I think it is relative to what the Jags could do. I'm trying to get ahead of it. Mm-hmm. What you're going to tell me right now is the Jags, Brent, have no chance to win 4, 5, 6 games down the stretch. Well, you would have told me a month ago, 5 weeks ago, that there's no way in hell Billy Napier hangs with Georgia and then beats Ole Miss and LSU back-to-back weeks. Just put yourself back there. That's the point. This is sports. It can happen. We just witnessed it in Gainesville. The other part of it is the quarterback. Can Trevor come back and help him rescue that? Well, they got DJ Lagway. And then what's the feel around all that? But then there's one other element here, and I thought you were going to bring this up because this is the conversation that goes back to last week is why is Shad so quiet? Should Shad have said something last week to the point of, hey, we're going to wait until the end of the year? Because essentially that would be the NFL version of what Strickland said. Now, he could go one further and say he's coming back, but we know he's not going to say that right now when you were 2-9 coming off that Detroit loss. But he could have come out like Jerry Jones, and look what Jerry Jones and Dallas did.
They won.
And they won the game. They played. So it's really coming back to, is Shad making a mistake by not saying anything? Right? And again, we get 11:30 today, but we still have nothing. We have nothing coming off that Detroit game last week. The fans have nothing. The players have nothing. Maybe the coaching staff has nothing. I have no idea if Doug has talked to Shad Khan over the last 7 days.
Well, to me, it comes down to the players. If you're in that locker room, and I spoke on this on Friday a little bit, if you're in the locker room and you have no idea, because we went through it ourselves, when I played, you have no idea of okay, are they going to let the coach go? Are they going to let a coordinator go? Players, when you're kind of just in limbo and you're waiting to see, that affects you a little bit. So I would much rather have, Shad Khan come out and say, here's the plan. Now, you may not like the plan, but at least say something so that way it reinforces as a player. Well, I get it. Go and appease Jags Twitter if you want, right? Put Jags Twitter to rest a little bit, right? And stop with the speculation. Go ahead and appease them as well. But I'm just talking about from a locker room. because I'm sure there's guys with their heads up low and they're like, are we just rolling with what we're doing here? What are we doing? So, yeah, I think it only helps. Like, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
There's nothing that would hurt coming out and saying either Doug Peterson's going to be the guy going forward, like for the rest of the season, or like, they're under watch. They have to, play a good brand of football the past couple games, or there will be changes made.
Yeah, the silence will come with more criticism than even that statement.
Correct.
And that's kind of what's happened here. So it's been a little bit surprising. I will just tell you this, and I know I'm going to be guilty of it. If the Jags win 4 or 5 games out of the end, I'm going to be like, well, like, it's maybe better to keep this thing together. Like, I know me.
Only a couple coaches with Super Bowl
wins. But I also know you.
Stop with the whole Mike McCarthy thing. No, we're not. I'm done with the Super Bowl rings. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Super Bowl rings. I'm just telling you.
I'm done with that.
I'm just telling you, if they
Sean Payton, though.
If they were to get 7, 8 wins,
good.
I know that I'll be like, well, is it really worth breaking it up? Like, are you definitely going to get Ben Johnson? Do you really want Bill Belichick coming in? Like, are you really that far away? Do you want to get further away? Like, I'll start asking myself all these things, and I'm not telling you Shad and I think the same way, but I got to believe Shad will start saying the same things. I think a lot of the fan base will say the same things. And that's why I want this on. Remember, it's like 10:26 on Monday,
Brent's wanting this team
week.
To lose.
I'm telling you, if this happens, there will be a swing. There will be a swing in the emotion of everything around Doug Peterson. That doesn't mean they still won't want Trent Baalke out or, other things to change. But around the coaching staff specifically, that's why with 6 games to go, I think he still has a chance to save himself. I really do. And we'll find out if they can. Now, that's a different story. I'm not predicting that they're going to do what's happened in Gainesville, but I can certainly draw it up in my mind. I don't think it's that far-fetched.
I mean, let's be generous and say that, and I'm being generous here from what I've seen so far. Let's be generous and say they go 6-11. You think still?
I don't think that's enough.
So you think 7 is the magic number?
I think 7 gets you really thinking.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, if he wins 8, he's back.
So they have to win.
Win out.
If he goes undefeated.
I mean, okay, yeah.
But here's my thing about this, and I'm okay. Like, I don't know where I am at. I'll tell you in 6 weeks about that. But that's why I think you should have made a move probably now if you were going to. I don't think you should get blinded by wins here. But you're beating nobody. Other than Houston, you've beaten nobody since last, like, early November. I mean, when they lost to San Francisco. And I think that made them, like, at the time 6-3 or something like that. Whatever it was, they'd won 5 in a row, so they were 6-3. They lost to San Francisco, got pasted by them. Then they go beat Tennessee, who again was nothing, and then they beat Houston. Good win, but outside of Houston, they've beaten nobody since like last October.
But here's what I don't understand about this whole thing. Say that change the schedule around, like. Do like a 180 on it. Okay. So let's say, for the sake of the argument right now, that they don't run the table, okay? So let's say that the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the easy part of the schedule now in the beginning of the season, they win, we can say 5 games.
Right now.
5 games right now.
5-6.
5-6 right now. And then we flipped it, so then what? They win 2 more games, and then they get curb stomped by the Lions. They get curb stomped by the Bills. Can't beat Miami. Lose to Cleveland and everything. Are we still talking about these guys having their job?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
That's really my point.
Yeah.
I don't think it should change how you feel.
That's
like you should know right now. You should make the decision this week. Whether he makes the move or not, the decision should have been made this week. And you got to tell yourself it's not changing. Mm-hmm. That's really my point. Something has to change. It's not good enough just to beat Houston since last October. It's not good enough right now to have not played a good football game, a good overall football game, since all the way back against those Houston Texans probably in November. Like, that is not good enough. It's too long of a sample. And so I don't think my feelings, even though it's a week away from Detroit and the bye week is here, like I think all the other things still exist in my mind. You told us you were going to do this, you didn't. You can't get 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. The offense still seems stagnant. The growth of the quarterback has kind of stalled out. The defense has gotten worse. Like, what are you hanging your hat on? The only thing left to hang your hat on is to go get 4 or 5 wins down the stretch, say we were close in a lot of these games, but we really didn't beat anybody. Like, that's all you got. Is that enough? I would say no. No. Not if you want to do your point, right? If you want to be mediocre, there's something to be said about being mediocre in Jacksonville. 9-8, 9-8, 7-10, 8. Like, there's been worse. There's been worse. I raise my hand for that. But if you want to go be good, that shouldn't be good enough.
Yeah.
Whether you win 5 out of 6 down the stretch or 4 out of 6 down the stretch or not, that's why, like, your decision should be made already.
So
Whether
do you
these
think
guys
it
coach
is?
their end.
Yes
No.
or no, if you had to bet.
No, I don't. That's why I'm giving you this. I don't. I think it would swing. I think if they win 5 out of 6 games, they get to 7. I think I would lay a wager right now that they're back.
Can we both agree on that? Regardless of if they're going to be gone next year or not, they're not making a change this year.
Say that one more time.
Okay. If Doug Peterson is truly gone next year, Shad Khan won't make a decision until after the season.
Oh yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, because if he hasn't made a decision by now after that Lions game, you're not going to make it. Or what? You're going to play a tight battle against the Texans and lose, and then you're going to fire?
No. The only thing I would give a little credence to, Austin, there is to say, because we have some history, mostly with Gus. The Urban one's different. The Gus one, they fired him with 2 weeks to go. And I can't remember all the circumstances. I think it was with 2 weeks ago. And so if that were to happen to get a jump, remember, the season gets later and later. So the cycle gets later and later in the coaching world.
Yeah.
So I would then, like, I don't think there's any point in getting a jump on the coaching stuff now. Like, I don't think that's a reason why you fire anybody right now. But I do think with 2 weeks to go, that could be a reason.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was not about getting a jump. To me, it was just showing, like, hey, that game was unacceptable.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, if that game doesn't do it for you, I feel like you can. If you're the Jaguars, you have a lease on life. You can do whatever you want. Like, people are staying.
Let's take a break. Getting rolling here on a Monday. Did you? We went viral again. Were your mom and relatives and everyone else excited that you made it to the New York Post?
Oh, I was getting texts, man, saying I made somebody cry. You kidding me?
Unbelievable. This thing, I'm on a high school football game up in Brunswick, Georgia. All of a sudden, I'm getting like all these texts.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? We go viral again. Rap against Mularkey.
Well, you know, he kind of called us out, too, a little bit.
Who?
Yucking it up.
Yucking it up, baby.
Rap called us out in a big way.
Dude, I had to Google what yucking means.
He was not happy with us.
I was not aware.
Albert's happy. Boy, the swamp was rocking. Was that your first time there, Hamby, or have you been there before? Second?
Hammy, was it fun?
It was fun.
Good atmosphere?
Yeah, it was
I
good.
bet.
Oh, man, Ty was there. The last 2 weeks he's been at those games says it's been just terrific.
Where's Alberta at?
She's coming.
Leave her at home?
She comes.
Oh, she comes. All right. Yep.
All right, we'll be back. Brent Austen Show on a Monday. Happy Thanksgiving week. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade.
The vibes will stay high on the campus of the University of North Florida this week as that PK match winner from Joaquin Acuna sealed the Ospreys A-Sun Tournament Championship crown, their second tournament title in school history and the first since 2015. However, the ride will not end there for the Ospreys as they now await an NCAA championship tournament bid, which they will find out later this week. And as one A-Sun championship bid ends in success, another will get started this week for the Ospreys, this time in volleyball. The UNF women's volleyball team secured the 6th seed in their 11th straight A-Sun tournament bid, and they will now travel to Fort Myers to face 3rd-seeded Central Arkansas on Thursday. And remember, you can find schedules, results, tickets, and more at unfospreys.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
That is not cool. That's not funny.
That's not funny. That's not funny.
Delphonic.
Oh, yeah.
From his finest work.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Delphonic.
Couldn't wait to see what Delphonic could draw up out of this one.
Yeah, that was good.
I DM'd him on Friday when you said that, and he was like, let me get 24 hours to cook something.
Let me get in the kitchen real quick.
He's got some beauties over the years.
Yeah, man.
Wow, this is crazy. This was crazy. You know the wild thing about this Mularkey stuff is That wasn't the only thing he said in that interview.
Not at all.
No,
that
not
I
at all.
thought was going to get even more attention.
No,
There are a few things in there. Now, more locally, not nationally. This one on the national level, I get why it did what it did.
well, yeah, I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah.
But he definitely left some breadcrumbs for some Jaguars fans as well, if you're interested to go back and listen to that.
He did.
Yeah.
Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby. And so if you don't know about this story, we just have the Rapoport stuff, right? We're not
Yes.
going to say, because he throws to the
Yeah.
comments anyway.
Right.
But Mike Mularkey was on the show last week with us, and he's been on a couple of times. He was great first time on and sharing stories and telling stories. He keeps it real now,
Yeah.
right? And
Something I always respected about him.
yeah, and so we were just talking about Doug and this situation and getting fired, and somehow it came up that his firing in Tennessee, which think about this. This is the part that's wild, lost in the sauce of everything. And they had been 2-14, I think, and 3-13 the 2 years before he got named head coach. Now he was an interim coach in that back half. Wisenhunt got fired, and so he took over the last half of the season, but it wasn't really his team. So the next year they turned from 2-14, 3-13 to 9-7. They missed the playoffs. And then they go to the playoffs at 9-7, and the whole story was set up with we had to beat the Jaguars, or there was a lot of noise about me getting fired 2 years in. So they beat the Jaguars. They win a playoff game. And then he gets fired after losing to the Patriots. And so that's like the setup of the story. But what's unbelievable is, can you imagine? It's not that different than what Peterson just did. So it would have been like Peterson getting fired last year after 9-8 and 9-8, after turning around 2 number 1 overall pick seasons. Or it would have been like Peterson winning a playoff game this year and getting fired, which no way in heck that would happen.
Correct.
That's how crazy it is that he got fired. Now Mike Vrabel comes in and does a pretty good job, but you can tell why it's like, how the hell did I get fired after going 9-7, 9-7?
There's some hostility there for sure.
Yeah,
as there should be.
As you should be. I would not blame him. I don't blame him at all for that. So anyway, 8 o'clock-ish, I don't know when the NFL Insiders are on the NFL Network, and this is where it starts blowing up, thanks to Ian Rapoport, when he said this.
After the 2017 season, in the 2018 playoffs, I reported a couple different times the Titans were expected to fire Mike Mularkey. And then I got a tip from a very trusted and reliable source that he was actually getting a contract extension after a playoff run. I reported it. He was fired the next day. It has been one of the biggest mysteries of my entire career, and now it has been solved. That was the Brent Austen Show on Action Sports. Those guys yucking it up. Pretty funny for them, I guess, if you don't care about accuracy and taking someone's reputation and rubbing it in the mud. Everyone said Mike Mularkey's a good guy. He always was to me. I liked him. Thought he was very respectable. That is not cool. That's not funny. I was a younger reporter then, and the amount of online hate and ridicule I got because Mike Mularkey thought it'd be funny to get back at his old boss, it was not fun. So I don't have much to say. I don't blame Mike Mularkey, but I want to. And that was not cool, and that was not funny, and we should treat truth better than that.
Speaking of truth, how about you get our show name right next time? That was Ian Rapoport on the Ian Rapoport Show on Hulu. On the Hulu app, on the Tubi app, everybody. So be sure to check Ian Rapoport out every Monday morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and you took the shorter version of that, Hamby, but I think everybody's seen the quote from Mularkey anyway that follows along with it. And the funny part, even after the fact, is the other guys, Garofalo and Pelissaro, they're kind of trying to hold back a little chuckle as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I couldn't. I had to laugh out loud when I saw this.
So there's a couple of things here, right? I do respect, but by the way, I respect journalism and all the other stuff. I get where that would be, from Rapoport's point of view, a little low blow.
Yeah.
It would be a low blow. I mean, he's in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But come on, man. This story was not about you. First of all, the story Mularkey was telling was not about him.
Yeah.
The story was
It involved him, but it
the
wasn't
reason
about him.
why, and he continues to not. When he put it out there, it's not like a lot of the comments are like, "Oh yeah, man, that was awful." Like they were like, it's kind of funny,
Yeah.
because everybody who walks out the door and gets fired would love to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the root of the story, and also Rap's career's been just fine.
Yeah.
Since then, it didn't derail
So-
his career.
Yeah.
And he says he's a young reporter. He was 37 years old at the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really that young of a reporter.
That's me now.
And it is. And Garofalo's like, yeah, he's learned a lot. Like, yeah, like get two sources, right? I mean, you could, as connected as those guys are, why couldn't he easily have called management at Tennessee and said something? And I get it. It's coming from a very trusted source. I'll give you an example of this. In 2013, I knew Gus Bradley was getting hired. I got a call at 11:30 at night. He's getting hired. And I mean, basically from as close can be.
Mm-hmm.
I called the Jags at like 11:45, whatever it was, late. Wake them up. And like, can you confirm it? Wouldn't confirm it. Like, call a couple, wouldn't confirm it. I'm like, son of a gun. Like, I can't go. Can't go with it.
Yeah.
I sit on my laid on my couch like all night, and I'm like, I know Schefter and Rapoport are gonna have this. And I went 4 a.m. Schefter and Rapoport have it. I'm like, son of a.
Yeah.
I could have had like that was a big one at the time, right? 2013. We don't get anything anymore. Local guys, the national guys get everything. But I didn't go with it. So like, and by the way, I was 37 years old. Like that was kind of a weak part. Like, listen. Low blow for Ian's part of it. Story wasn't really about him. Chuckle about it a little bit, like 6-7 years later, like your co-host did, because it was a flip the bird moment for Mularkey. And then you can talk behind the scenes about we should all feel bad about you because of the reporting. You've done just fine. You're a very good reporter. You do a great job. But let's not make it all about Ian Rapoport all the time.
Can I go now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So I got a text message from a bunch of my friends letting me know what happened before we got the text message. And one of them said, "You made Ian Rapoport cry. What are you doing?" Like, joking around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking? I had no idea what he was even referring to. I didn't even like think about the whole Mularkey thing being used against. Like, I had no idea. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And then it's like, yeah, man, your show got featured on with Ian Rapoport on NFL Live or whatever. I'm like, okay, I got to look into it. So then I go on Twitter, and then I see the video that he posted out. It's crazy because, and my only response to it, like, listen, I had stuff in the clip ready to go. I had a lot of things I wanted to say. I thought about making a video, but it's so stupid. Like, I didn't even want to waste my time, like, trying to get back at it. And, like, number one, I didn't really care that he meant, like, number one, if you're going to mention us, though, let's get our show name right. You know, let's check our sources. You know, that's how we got here in the first place. You know, check your sources. So it's the Brent and Austen Show on Action Sports Jax.
The Jaguars Hour.
Just add the Jax part and we're all good. But yeah, whatever, man. Keep doing you. Check your sources, though. But it's so crazy when I look back on, like, my NFL career and where he was, because, like, we had a bunch of interactions back in the day on Twitter. And we kind of shared, like, I feel like the same kind of, like, comedy brain where, like, he would tweet something, I would laugh at it, I would repost it, I would tweet something, he would do it. And this, like, went on for a couple years. And then all of a sudden, you know, he stopped following me because, well, I probably couldn't do anything for him anymore, so time to cut me loose. Not bitter whatsoever, man. I get that's how the business works. When I watched the video, though, when he mentioned, like, you know, he's going through a lot, I'm like, wow, I might actually feel bad here with what he's going to say because it may have cost him a job. It may have cost him some money. It may have hurt him in his business. But the first thing that you say is, you got a lot of hate and ridicule or whatever on the internet. You're a grown-ass man. I'm not going to feel sorry for you because people are making fun of you on the internet. And if you want to go, well, Austin, you don't know how I feel. I can show you my DMs. I can show you my mentions right now being an MMA fighter. And we can go toe-to-toe and see who's got it worse. The difference is I don't let it affect me. Like, you seem to let it affect you 6 or 7 years after the fact. Like, it happened so long ago, man. And guess what? You're the king of where you're supposed to be, right? Everyone looks up to you. And you still want to be bitter about this whole story and you want to throw a hissy fit on live television and call us out for yucking it up? Yeah, man, and guess what? And now I'm going to yuck it up times 2 because your reaction to getting made fun on the internet. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
You're a grown-ass man talking about getting made fun of on the internet.
It happens probably every day to him.
Let me tell you what I tell my 9-year-old son. The internet's not a real spot. If it affects you, then maybe it's time to get off the internet. All right? If comments and people making fun of you are affecting you, Ian, then maybe take a break off social media because you can't handle it. Okay.
I don't think he's going to do that. I wouldn't advise that first career choice.
Well, then just accept it, you know?
Just accept it,
Yeah.
We got a little New York Post love out of this. Some people be so jealous of that.
Oh, see, I don't think I've even seen this one yet.
Yeah.
Is this a big one? This is the New York Post? This is the
New
big
York
time?
Post, yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Bray, come on, man. I don't follow the Post.
You know,
I don't
Barstool
either. Somebody
Sports?
texted it to me.
I know Barstool Sports.
It was just a fun kind of story. Like, again, I would think Mularkey would get some more heat. Everybody's really like that.
Because it's funny, man.
Well,
Because
like, good for you.
Nobody, like, it was, I mean, okay, somebody got made fun of on the internet a little bit, but it was harmless. Like,
Yeah. You're right. It didn't derail anything. Career's been just
You're
fine.
still where you're at.
Yes.
Got to be honest. It's
Learning
it's,
lesson.
It's even funnier seeing when they, because obviously media outlet is transcribing what he said. It's way funnier to see yucking it up as a quote.
Oh, I had to Google it. I actually had to Google that, Brent, too.
Man. We had it's really interesting than that. Listen, they're big. They're big. These guys are huge. I mean, look, Ian Rapoport puts that out, and that thing went crazy. It's like, I don't know what it is, like 4 million views or something. We ain't putting anything out for 4 million views.
Huh.
So thank you.
Patrick Mahomes getting body shamed?
That was about 1 million.
That's doing numbers.
Yeah.
That's still doing numbers. But hey, just wait till he gets that Super Bowl bump again.
That's right.
If Patrick Mahomes
That might
goes back to the Super Bowl, oh, we're going full circle. We're coming back around again.
Living in perpetuity.
Let's go, man.
So
Evergreen, they call that, Brent.
but some of you can't get too high on your horse if you're the national guy. It's like, I don't think it hurt his reputation or anything like
Dragged
that.
it through the mud.
Yeah, you got to have fun. You got to have fun with it and learn from it. And I probably did learn from it. I was thinking this, guys. I was like, listen, one thing I learned from that story from Mike Mularkey, if Doug Peterson calls me at the end of the year and tells me he got an extension or he's
Let's
staying,
go.
I ain't believing it.
Let's go. It's just,
Oh, man.
So we all learn a lesson
for
on
sure,
this
man.
one.
For sure. Oh, man. It's just,
It's crazy.
can you imagine, like, listen, man, I mean, I can ever tell anybody how to live their life. But if you're still bitter and you're still upset when you're on the throne, like you're doing your thing, people always look up to you, and you're still upset about this whole thing that happened, whatever it was, 7-8 years ago, man, I feel like that's no way to live, but you keep doing you.
I feel like we should start like a consulting firm for crisis management in the sports media, because we've been doing this for Doug like all year, right? Like, Doug, just tell, like, you can say this and say that without doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Well, even Ian here, he could actually have said this, like, the mystery part was fascinating. Like, he had not figured it out.
Yeah.
And so that part was really intriguing. And I get that. Like, if you were you have no idea where it came from.
Yeah.
Like, why did this happen? And so you answer that, and then you're like, listen, it's not cool that I'm in the middle of it.
No,
because
sure.
I'm being used. Like, I don't like that. And you can say that and be like, that the truth does matter. And all those things are true in our business. But you can also say, and I've learned that I'm never going on just one source, even if it's the closest one.
Yeah.
And you know what? 6 years later, I get everybody that got fired would probably want to do something like that. It's funny. You can do all of that.
Can help yourself out, man.
You can do all of that.
But no. Make us feel bad because people are making fun of you on the internet. I'm sure your comments are just fine.
Well, NFL Network actually called. I guess I didn't even know this until I got back
Have you
after
seen
Friday.
the comments? Have you seen the ratio? Have you seen the ratio to Ian Rapoport's comments?
Well, here's the deal. I
If
didn't know
you
that.
thought I was going crazy in Houston Texans comments from 2 years ago with like all the ratios with their organization, man, Brent, I woke up this morning, I had a tea. I had some caffeine because I'm like, man, it's a nice chill autumn morning. Let me go ahead and get my tea. Let me go and look at a little paprika, and let me go ahead and read through these Ian Rapoport comments. And oh, Brent, man, did that tea go down just fine with those comments?
So they were good, huh?
Oh, it pairs nicely. Pairs nice. Let me tell you what, man. Nothing pairs nicely with some L's in the chat. Ian Rapoport, like a nice green tea hibiscus with a little honey and a little cayenne pepper there. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. Pairs nicely. But go ahead, Brent. Sorry.
I don't know what I was going to say.
Okay.
It's just amazing. It's a wild thing how it all works. I didn't look at the comments, but now you're going to
look at the comments. Can we just, that's the rest of the show today. Okay, we get it. Yeah, there's a lot of parity in the NFL. Okay, we'll see what happens with Bryce Young and everything. That's about it. Some things happening in the NBA. Joel Embiid's doing something, whatever. Okay, cool. The rest of the show, going through all the comments on Ian Rapoport's Twitter. Let's go.
We try not to grandstand on some of these other moments. We may as well do a headstand on this.
Oh, I'm breakdancing, man. I'm going straight up ray gun with it. Let's go.
Oh, man, these are bad.
Didn't you think it was going to be good? Did you think somebody wanting to feel bad because you're getting made fun of on the internet was going to turn out well for you? Spoiler alert, it didn't.
So I know what I was going to say. So I would come home from Friday night blitz coverage in Georgia. Long drive, by the way, to Brunswick. Mm-hmm. I said this. I can't believe they're in our viewing area, how far a drive that is. But it's we're happy to have you. But anyway, I didn't realize that, like NFL Network, I thought they just found the clip because it's floating around, right? Really, where it went a little, like, I think folks in Nashville got it and got their hands on it and started to, go a little crazy. But they called us for it. Mm-hmm. And I guess what they told our folks, they were like, hey, we're going to have some fun with this. I was like, dang, didn't look like you had a lot of fun with that.
Nah.
Until the end where Pelissero was kind of like, it's a little funny.
Yeah.
Something like that. But that's how, they were planning for it for a segment. And I thought Ian was going to have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't. But,
nah, man.
More stories to come.
Yucking it up, dude.
I got a text from Mularkey on the weekend. He's like, well, I guess that story.
I'm going to ask if you saw it.
I was.
Dude, it was everywhere.
I was like, yeah, it was. But who knows, man? Those guys live in their own bubble.
He was on a
sometimes.
vacation, I thought.
And,
sure.
But yeah, it eventually got back to him. And he's like, more stories to come.
Bring him.
Lock him in.
Bring him.
Let's go and lock in Mularkey.
I love Coach Mularkey.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I said, well, my mom's pretty happy that you got me in the New York Post. So
oh, nice. Did they actually say the Brent Austen Show, or is it something that's like, did they actually get the show name right?
You know what also is pretty funny is like they did, because Casey puts another hour out of the show almost every day, if not every day, and at 3 o'clock. So there's a lot of Jag stuff, but that's where they actually pulled it from that. They gave credit to that really more than the show.
Oh, so that's where the Jaguars hour.
That's why you keep seeing the Jaguar hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how.
All right. Well,
funny how it materializes.
Thank God I didn't say anything because I thought about having a couple tweets about that as well. But
what a year,
man! I'm growing up, Brent.
New York Post said earlier this week, Mularkey appeared on a sports talk show in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I thought they go deeper and they say it down the.
Let me see.
It's a long article in the Post. I think they give credit.
Oh, the Jaguars hour with Brent Austen.
Don't just read the headline.
It wasn't just it wasn't just the headline.
Do we make the New York Times, Brent? Because that's one I've actually I know the New York Times.
60 Minutes.
60.
I don't think we're making 60 Minutes with it.
Good evening.
I was curious. I'm not going to lie.
Mularkey.
I was curious if some of the pregame shows were going to use it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't think they did. Not that I watch all the pregame shows, but I was like, will they go with this? Because it is kind of a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
Right? You know what else is wild, though, looking up Mularkey's stuff over the years? How many guys have had 3 head coaching opportunities? Really?
Well,
do you remember 3 head coaches in the NFL? I'm sure there are a couple.
With Coach Mularkey, though, because he had the stint in Buffalo, but was it? It was
2 years in Buffalo.
Okay.
So he had 2 years in Buffalo. 2 years in Tennessee. I mean, these are short-lived stints.
And then the year in Jacksonville.
I mean, it is the oddest career. Really, it's odd.
Because he didn't do bad in Buffalo either.
He didn't do bad in Buffalo. He had 1 bad year, 1 good year. And then Jacksonville was 1 year. But, I mean, in hindsight, if you're really defending Mike, you're like,
what did you have to work with?
In 1 year, right? And he got paired up with Gene and all that stuff. So
it's the old school mentality, man. People aren't made for that mentality. Like, people don't want to work with that.
3 chances in the NFL, that has got to be super unique. I'm trying to think of somebody. Maybe the chat can come up.
How many did Josh McDaniels have?
Well, he turned down 1. Walked in the door, walked right back out.
Dude, I guarantee if Coach Mularkey would have been around like in the 80s or 90s coaching,
He would have done really well.
Dude would have been like probably the next Bill Belichick. But
Yeah.
I just feel like,
Yeah, that could be. He did come. I mean, listen, it was all between like 2010, 2018, something like that. So that's a new
because I could see it with our own team where it's like, some of the philosophies which I loved because that's what I grew up with, the old school type, and some players just I feel like weren't on board.
Yeah.
But
Well, we
what do you
remember.
do?
I mean, honestly, we were, I don't know, poking fun, but we were like lining up helmets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was not viewed at. We were like, what the hell is this? Right?
Yeah.
But you're right. Maybe 10 years prior or 20 years prior, that's
the status
just a
quo.
thing, right? That's
Yeah.
just normal. All right, let's do this. Take a time out. 11 o'clock hour around the corner. Thanks to Ian and the NFL Network for the bump. We appreciate it. We'll take anything we can get.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable. It just amazes me how this stuff gets so crazy
Yeah.
in like a small amount of time.
Yeah.
From the Mahomes thing was literally like 9 hours. It went from thousands of views to 1 million and just stopped dead. It was like 1.1 million. If you go back and look at that post, I guarantee it's still 1.1 million.
So at least now, Brent, I know like when we hear something crazy like that happens like on our show, like we know okay, that's gonna be because when he said that, I'm like that could be pretty big.
Yeah.
We have to go right after, and that's on the Brent Austen Show, like right after it. Right after it. Like I'm saying a split second, something big drops, Brent Austen Show, boom.
We need better branding. You're right. We'll work on that. We'll be back here on the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jags 24/7 network. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket, and while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jags team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Springs, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield. Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Jags report live tonight from String Sports Brewery, and it's at on Fox 30 at 7 o'clock. Also can see it on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network live. We'll replay it throughout the week as well right here on the network. We are going to have and give away a $1,000 Beards Jewelry gift card at the show tonight. Got to be present to win, so that's a good way to start the holiday season. We're also going to have some fun with some other things happening. Working on a player. It doesn't look like we thought we had. We're going to have a player, but it looks like we have a conflict there. So now we're working on trying to get another one. We'll see if that happens. But we're going to have some fun out there, so come join us anyway at String Sports Brewery. And this is the last Monday night show that gets the Springfield location. A week from today, we'll go to the new Jax Beach location at String Sports Brewery. So a little bit of I don't want to confuse everybody, but the bottom line is I also want to message everybody and tell you where to find the show. Jax Beach next week, next Monday. Every Monday from there on out, we'll be at the Jax Beach location, which is opening this weekend, I think. And Springfield tonight. And then one other note, we'll have Jaguars All Access Wednesday, not Thursday because of Thanksgiving, so it'll be Wednesday night in Springfield. And Access will stay at the Springfield location, by the way, on Wednesdays or Thursdays, whenever days it's running. Chad Muma is going to join us on Wednesday and talk a little bit about My Cause, My Cleats. Great initiative the NFL does. That will be this coming weekend against the Houston Texans. So kind of a lot going on. And obviously we'd love to see the Jags get some wins to make everything going on feel a little bit better. And isn't that kind of interesting? I think people still want to see wins. Mm-hmm. They're the number one pick. In New York, they're talking about, hey, we want the number 2 pick or the number 1 pick. We want to reset the quarterback spot. You got Shadur Sanders actually like tweeting things out. And when the Giants lose, like this is a good thing. Apparently he's been interacting with them. So nice. From what I saw. But don't you get the feel around here in Jacksonville that nobody's vying for that? They want to avoid that. To Hamby's point last week, you want to avoid that third number 1 pick in 5 years, the embarrassment of that. We do not want the number 1 pick in Jacksonville, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Because obviously the number 1 pick can do a lot for you, but I think in Jacksonville with the optics and everything, to say that you've had 3 number 1 picks in 5 years, yeah, it's never been done before. And that's a piece of history that you don't want to be on the side of. So I agree with you. I do think if you did have the number 1 pick, I hope you would trade it away, honestly. I think you need more play. You need more pillars, more pieces, whatever you want to call it. And I don't like the fact of getting Travis Hunter, and we kind of discussed this a little bit on Friday. I don't like the fact that you get him, and then it's like, all right, where do you put him? Because this team has not had a great track record in setting players up for success, putting them at certain positions. So,
yeah. Hamby, what do you think? Do you want him still to pick in the top 5 and just not have the number 1 pick? Or are you like, go win 5 out of 6, and set up whatever scenario you're going to set up, and you might end up picking 12th in that way. Like, does that matter here in late November?
100% matters. I don't want us to. I just don't want us to have the number one pick, and it's also because there's no Caleb Williams in this draft. There's no Trevor Lawrence. There's no highly coveted, without a doubt, number one guy that we know that multiple teams are going to be seeking to trade for. I think that's a big part of it, of why I don't want the number one pick. Is I don't. If we were to trade it, is there a specific guy that people are going to come and get and give us a lot for? I don't think that's the case. But regardless of the trades and everything, it's just it is the optics things. I want us to win football games. I want us to have some kind of momentum on the field, something that we have seen this year that gives us a little bit of confidence going into next year. And I think a lot of that has to do with Trevor Lawrence. And while I think everybody would agree, fans alike, that he's got to play, that we want him to play, that we want to win games, because roster talent, fans still believe in the guys on this roster. A lot of them, in my opinion, a lot of individuals on this team. So, if this was August of 2025, there would be some confidence, a lot more than what a 2-9 football team should garner, that we'd be able to compete next year because of those guys.
Yeah,
and that's why I think it would be very, very embarrassing to have first pick 3 out of 5, and you got to go win.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something to be winning to winning games. There's two big things for me. Three. I agree with you guys. I think the embarrassment of the number 1 overall pick again for months and months I don't want that. I'm done with that. And I think you can still get a very good player at number 7 or number 10 or 12 or whatever. The other thing is, I think you need to win. You can't just keep losing football games. Like, honestly, if they ended up with 6 wins somehow, that's better than having 2 or 3 wins. Like, 2 or 3 wins feels back in the basement. Mm-hmm. It feels so bad compared. Some people do win 6 or 7 in a season. Yeah. Like, that happens in the NFL. You don't win close games. Now you can start. You really can talk about that. Whether you keep the staff and everything, that's a different conversation. But the bottom line is that can happen in the NFL. Some teams have good. Look at San Francisco, right? Whether it's injury based or just not playing well, or how everybody thinks about them. Last 4 years in the championship, and now they look like a shell of themselves, and partly because of injury, different circumstances. But the bottom line is they look like it happens in the NFL. The other reason why I think this is big is I'm done with the scar tissue for Trevor Lawrence. He's the guy. He needs, if he is going to play, which again is a conversation, if he is going to play, I feel like he needs some good things to happen. I do not want the label around Trevor Lawrence of he's been banged up for a year and a half. I don't want that label. I don't want the scar tissue of more losses and how do you overcome this. Go find something good. Go get Brian Thomas Jr. 1,000+ yards, right? Go get something working. Go get double-digit sacks for Trayvon Walker. Go figure out something over these next 6 games. I think there's value to it. I really do. I think it's important for this organization at this point with this quarterback, whatever they do in the front office and coaching staff, I think there's value in getting wins for a variety of reasons in Jacksonville. And I hope they do, because then at least it wouldn't feel same old same in January.
No, I hear you. But at the same time, I watched a Houston Texans team go 3-13, and then the next year they get a new coach, a new quarterback, and they win the division. So, yeah, I want to sit here and say, and I'm cheering for this team to win. I'm not cheering for this team to tank by any means, because I don't really care where you pick. Just take the best offensive tackle wherever he lands. You know, like that's what I'm. That's and once again, pick. I don't like it because I don't like rooting for offensive tackles because it's boring. I can only go watch so many YouTube highlights of an offensive tackle pancaking somebody before I fall asleep. All right, it's like straight up Ambien. Is that Ambien? Yeah, it's Ambien, right? Yeah, straight up Ambien for my senses. So as long as it ain't the number 1 pick, who this team is, who they are. So I don't care. As long as we're not having the conversation of, all right, for the 3rd time in 5 years, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Like, I don't want to have that scenario. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to have that narrative. Anything else, it's whatever. Like, yeah, I understand, Hamby. You win football games towards the end of the year. You can build off that, and they should be able to build off that. But what I'm more concerned about, if you do move on from the head coach, well, we seem to like the quarterback here still. So we have the quarterback in place. Now let's put the head coach in place. and then maybe you can have like a Houston Texans year where you go 3-13, and then you win a division the next year.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I've thought about this multiple times, and the Jags aren't going to be like the Kansas City Chiefs that you joined. Remember in 13, that year they had the number 1 overall pick, but they've sent 6 Pro Bowlers in 2012 to the Pro Bowl.
That was Eric Fisher or no?
So they picked Eric Fisher in 13, but in 2012 they went 2-14 somehow, 2-14, but they had 6 Pro Bowlers on the roster. And they got Andy Reid, comes in and he's the head coach. Yep. They get the number 1 pick. And
Doug Peterson was the offensive coordinator, by the way.
Doug Peterson, and they start taking off. Because really they weren't 2-14, And doesn't this team have a little feel of that? They're not like a 2-14 team or whatever, 2-9 team right now. And I get what your record says, but it has a little bit of a feel. I don't think 6 guys are going to the Pro Bowl, so it's not exactly the same. But whatever their record ends up being, this is why I think it's a pretty attractive job. The base that you have here in Jacksonville, do you have to get it better? Absolutely. The Jags whiffed on some of their talent evaluation stuff and their free agency, but there's also a lot to work with compared to, say, the Raiders or, say, the Giants or, say, the Carolina Panthers. You could walk into this thing if you're anybody, whether it's Doug or somebody else, and be like, we can have a big 2025. This isn't about 2-3 years down the road. This is right away. So, and it reminds me a little bit of that Kansas City Chiefs team from back in 12 and 13.
I hear you. And we broke this down on Friday as well, of like how many quality pieces do the Jaguars have going forward that you can call them pillars? And we agree that there's more than people want to give credit for. You have Evan Ingram. You have Trevor Lawrence. You have Brian Thomas Jr. You have Josh Hines-Allen. You have Trayvon Walker. You have Tyson Campbell when he's healthy. You have some pieces that you like. My biggest question, though, is if you want to compare it to that Kansas City Chiefs team, after this year, say you win 4 games, 5 games, who are the guys in that locker room that are going to be like, we ain't going through that again? Because we had Derek Johnson. We had Eric Berry. We had Jamal Charles. We had Dwayne Bowe. Guys that literally got in front of the team and said, we ain't doing this bleep again this year. Like, it's going to be different now. And once again, I think it speaks volumes because it's not like Andy Reid is the ultimate motivator per se. Andy Reid gets by being the best coach in the NFL because he has the mental genius to be an X's and O's guy. He's not going to give you the big rah-rah speech before a game, but players still love playing for him, right? But what was the genius of that Andy Reid team that turned things around is you had the leadership. You had the vocal guys ready in place to say, guys, whatever happened last year, which I wasn't a part of, I only heard stories, but whatever happened last year, that ain't going to happen again. Like, we're too talented, we're too good for that. I wonder how many players do you have in Jacksonville right now? Like, we can call them dogs, we can call them leaders, whatever you want to say. We can call them vocal leaders. They're going to take the team and go, we're not doing this again.
Yeah. Was that the?
And I'm not sure.
Was Alex? Did Alex Smith come in 13?
Alex Smith was there too as well.
So they brought him over with Reed. So he was there that first year, and then obviously a few years. Well, really, he was there for about 4 or 5 years.
It's great. And I forget Jamal Charles on the Jags.
Jamal Charles.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's like the ultimate trivia question right there.
That is a good
Jamal Charles on the Jags. Man,
he was there for just a very short time.
Yeah, but dude, I'm talking in his prime though.
Oh,
you want to talk about being like a fantasy running back, running the football and catching the football? That dude was on top of his game back in the day.
He fantasy football Jamal Charles. Like that's how people remember him.
Dude was sponsored by Puma. Who knew? Who knew Puma was making football clothes? Yeah, he was. Puma, Brent.
That's funny that you remember that.
How could you not? It's Puma. Give me one other athlete that you know that's been sponsored by Puma besides, not a soccer player, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know.
There you go.
I do, but you wouldn't like it. It's Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
Speaking of running backs, I mean, how about the season Saquon Barkley's having? Unbelievable.
Real deal.
I feel like we watch it. We talk about it every couple of weeks. Of course, he hurdled the Jags a couple of weeks ago. That's why we were talking about it. But
yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable. Now you're starting to get historically good. 2,500 yards, I think, is the Chris Johnson did that from scrimmage back in 2008, maybe something like that. Sounds right. He's on pace. He's averaging 149 yards per game. If he averages 143 in total yardage, he would eclipse that. I mean, you're chasing down some crazy numbers with that performance last night at 255 yards rushing, 302 yards of total offense. Eagles look really good. Your Super Bowl pick is looking good. See, they found it. I said this last night. We were talking to the sports office. that guy is a weird coach. Their GM is really good.
Correct.
Just keeps going to the well and getting players. Where everybody else like, no, we don't.
Jalen Carter, bring him on.
Boom.
Yeah.
They've gotten fortunate to be where they're at times, but they go get Saquon Barkley, right? They go give him that money. They continue to. They go get Slay. Like if you got a big name guy, a lot of teams will stay away from the big name guy because they're like, well, why are they still out there, right? Look what the Jags did. The Jags go and get Armstead. He's kind of a big name guy. Well. That hasn't worked. That's why teams stay away from the Armstead or the Darby or whoever.
Yeah.
And the Eagles don't. The Eagles don't stay away from that. They're like, nope, just keep giving them to us. It seems to work.
I respect it. I think Houston tried to do the same thing, but obviously maybe backfired a little bit with Stephon Diggs getting hurt now. But I respect what the Eagles do in terms of how they've managed their roster. Because, it's just like, let's keep loading them up. Let's keep loading them up on weapons. You remember the whole Hamby can attest to this, the whole Georgia draft of a couple years ago when they got everybody from Georgia and seem to be paying dividends right now. And then this last year, what do they need? Well, they need secondary help. So what do? All right, well, let's go ahead and draft the 2 best cornerbacks in the draft and bring them to our team. Now, so they drafted them there. Did they reach a little bit? Yeah, maybe, but guess what? You need cornerbacks? Then draft cornerbacks. Like, it's not rocket science sometimes. Take like draft value, position. No, you needed cornerbacks. They got cornerbacks, and at least one of them so far is playing pretty damn good.
Yeah, they go get you know what's interesting about the Eagles? To me, they build the team like you would, or I would, or the fan would. I think that's why it's so interesting. There's always something in there that a Trent Baalke is not going to do every move that you want him to do because he's like, no, that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to build the business. Then there's reasons behind it. They have their own reasons. But it feels like Howie Roseman is like not that. Yeah. It feels like he's building a fantasy football team. Mm-hmm. And Eagles fans are like, go get Saquon Barkley. He's like, okay.
Say no more. We got it.
They get every player. San Francisco has a little bit of like this. Mm-hmm. Go get Christian. Imagine if we had Christian McCaffrey. Okay, we'll go get him.
Sure. Yeah.
Nobody seems. This is my conversation a couple weeks ago about Derrick Henry. The Dallas Cowboys, should they have gotten Derrick Henry? Yeah, probably, right? Mm-hmm. Go do that. Could somebody else have? Yeah. The Ravens did. The Ravens keep adding. And the Ravens aren't loaded with all that. The Ravens actually do a mix. They will go get a Derrick Henry, but they'll also say, see you later to a really good linebacker or a really good corner that's going to cost them too much and kind of reset and trust their draft process.
Yeah.
So, and listen, the Eagles have not always been great at the drafting, but because they have so many star guys, I think it gets lost where you don't need to hit on every draft pick. Mm-hmm. They're so deep. And they're offensive. Their trenches are amazing.
Well, no, and they have, to echo what Glenn C's saying, they have great veteran guys too. Fletcher Cox, they had, and then Brandon Graham. Unfortunately, I think he just tore both his triceps, which is such a crazy injury. We tear both of them.
Both of them?
I think it's both of them. I think he's out for the season. And Brandon was the guy that was on my Senior Bowl team. We went to the Combine together. Really solid dude,
had
man.
2 sacks and maybe a third last night.
Pretty sure he was our Senior Bowl MVP that year. Just beat me out, unfortunately. I'm a little bitter about that, but yeah, he's a great dude, man, and great leader.
The one other thing that I thought the Eagles did, and again, Sirianni, I'm not a huge fan, but because they have the GM in place, what they did is they got rid of the coordinators. Mm. So he basically was like, all right, I guess to keep my job, I got to get rid of the coordinators. Mm-hmm. Now, he had lost his coordinators to other jobs, like Indianapolis and Arizona, years prior, but then he got rid of this coordinator, and it's worked. How often do you see that? It doesn't feel like that works. Like when you have to reset stuff and go fix it and hire it or whatever else, it doesn't seem like it's worked. Well, it looked like it got off to a slow start. Didn't the Eagles start 1-2, or maybe it was 2-1, but it felt like they could have lost both and could have won all 3. It wasn't great. And then it was on the heels of their collapse last year, same as the Jags. Well, they replaced the coordinators and they win. Look what the Jags did. Replace the defensive coordinator. It got worse. The loyalty to Press Taylor continues, giving him the playbook instead of Doug taking it. Is it as simple as that? If you look at Philadelphia and the Jags, look what Doug did with his coaching staff. Look what Sirianni did with his coaching staff. Mm-hmm. And that might be the difference of the year. On top of, I do believe the Eagles are a better roster than the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the point is, Could you have just made better decisions at your coordinator spot, who's calling plays, and this would have worked out better like it has in Philadelphia?
I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have hurt anything. I don't think it could get much worse, Brent. So, yeah, I think it would have got better. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just thought that they're an interesting team to me. I figure with Sirianni, with the Eagles, with the way it is in Philly, when you collapse like that, it keeps going, like the Giants, like Dallas. Dallas, it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. Now, I know they won yesterday, but they had lost like 5 in a row. And just drama after drama, and the domino. They stopped the domino, and they flipped the domino. It's back. It's now that stretch run last year was an anomaly.
Yeah.
It was an aberration. Like, that was not who they are. That was just a bad stretch of football. So I just think I guess it can be done. And this goes back to Doug Peterson, not making good decisions on his staff, really, is what, if you want to compare it to the Eagles, Sirianni obviously has, with, again, I would say a better roster and a team that knows who they are. And they've got something that very few teams have. They are really good in the trenches.
Yes.
Very good in the trenches.
Seems to be a trend, isn't it, Brent? Teams that are good in the trenches have a pretty good shot of going places.
But it's hard to get really good in the trenches. The Eagles are really, really good. Even
sure.
Kelsey goes away, and the centers played fantastic for him.
Georgians.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a little bit of a learning curve. I remember watching the Falcons game. I think that was Monday night or Thursday. I think it was Monday night.
Yeah, that crazy one.
And he had a little, he had some issues and everything. But, yeah, he's learning it.
Yeah. And, of course, you get in a year for Saquon Barkley because, like I said,
he's made all the difference.
I mean, Saquon Barkley is amazing, but, again, he is running behind that line. Like, it goes hand in hand. He can utilize his skill set and his vision and his attributes.
I mean, dude had highlights in New York, too, but he was always hurt, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, listen, I understand. Like, I guess I understand because I remember watching the whole Hard Knocks thing when they let him go and, like, they wanted him to test the market, and he tested it. And then, the Giants, they try to match. But, like, at the end of the day, if that's your guy, that's your guy. And that's what NFL players, like, we always get so bogged down with contracts and stats and Super Bowls. I think it comes down to more than anything is just feeling wanted. And I don't think Saquon really felt wanted there in New York, especially after you watch a quarterback get paid like Daniel Jones, and you're like wondering, well, hey, can I get some of the money I was asking for? No? Okay, you don't want me. Sounds good. Now he goes to Philly, and they obviously want him there. Like, never take that for granted, NFL teams. Like, I get contracts and get messy and all this stuff, but, like, does the player feel wanted?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'll say he's a refreshing athlete too. He doesn't feel me. He's kind of like,
oh no, that was exemplified. And I don't agree with this either. But I forgot what game it was when he had a chance to set his own record for rushing yards.
Right?
Yeah, and Sirianni goes, "Hey, you want to go back in there and break the record?" He goes, "I'm good."
Yeah.
He goes, "You sure, man?" He's like, "I don't want to do this to you." And he's like, "No, put somebody else in. I'm fine."
He said something like, "Let the other guys eat." Like that. Yeah.
Like
He's refreshing.
All you need to know.
He is you don't find that, especially at the running back position. Running back can be a lot like the receiver position, where it's like, give me the ball, very selfish about it. He doesn't seem, he's an incredible player to watch and kind of enjoyable to watch all the other stuff around him too. And you can tell all those things that you just said, they are glad to have him. He is glad to have them. That has been a perfect marriage so far. Let's take a time out. Come back. Doug Peterson is getting set to talk to the media, so maybe we get an update on Trevor Lawrence. Will he play? Won't he play? What's that going to be like? I got a feeling it's going to be a little bit of a watch, but maybe Doug surprises us and has something more matter of fact here on this Monday morning. As a different time for him. Usually he talks in the afternoon, talking at 11:30 this morning. They've jockeyed the schedule around here on this Thanksgiving week. And we will talk a little bit more about the Florida Gators and college football because what a week it was. I mean, that was a weekend that is crazy. Hamby still thinks the SEC is unbelievable. I think it's average.
Yeah.
Haven't talked to me since Friday. Actually, since Wednesday.
Yeah, that Alabama game really.
Ole Miss, Bama, and A&M, man.
Oh, can we already pencil in who's in the playoff now? Is there a path? I don't know. More craziness still to come. College football, fascinating weekend, and kind of can't wait for that first playoff to take place in December. We'll be right back here on the show. Don't forget, check out UNF Ospreys. They will be in action throughout this week, both on the men's and women's side. Check out UNFospreys.com for tickets, schedules, and results. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game. But with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service. A meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
They had a Jaguars prep fun, that's for sure. Jaguars prep fun. 8-year-olds to 17-year-olds putting on a show there at the Flex Field on Sunday and actually Friday as well. So they had a couple of different sessions and showcasing the talent in the area, flag football and football camp stuff. So pretty cool to see that, what Jaguars Prep continues to do with youth football in the area. Partnered with us, of course, on our high school football. Friday Night Blitz 2024 is in the books, and we will have our Jaguars Prep Friday Night Blitz all-prep team coming up in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. And we still have 8 teams alive in the playoff race for a state championship, so more high school football action to come down the road. There's a lot going on this weekend. Jacksonville Icemen got a couple wins, and then they lost yesterday. The Icemen, make sure to check out JacksonvilleIcemen.com, and we'll be airing a game on the Action News Jax networks coming up on December 6th. So that's a couple of Fridays away. So more information coming out on that, but we're looking forward to that. Part of our partnership with the Jacksonville Icemen. Will air a handful of games that you can see on TV. Not here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, but on TV. So Iceman fans, look for something a little bit different this year in 2024 and then heading into the 2025 year. Make sure you check out JacksonvilleIcemen.com for all the schedules and tickets and different programs that the Icemen have going on. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, and Jason Hamby on a Monday. Short week, of course, with the holiday. Hope everybody getting set. Family in town, cooking it up. No cooking the next couple of days because you're going to be cooking plenty the Thursday.
Yes.
Do you have any responsibility on the cooking?
Oh, dude, I'm doing prime rib, man. Yeah.
Are you?
Rib roast. Yeah, because little pro tip here for all you steak people out there. The prices are never as low as they are right before Thanksgiving because everyone's buying turkey. So supermarkets will mark down their prime rib roasts super low because, well, people are buying turkey. So this is when I take full advantage and buy me a rib roast. So I'll be doing a rib roast.
How do you do a rib roast?
An oven, Brent.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, there's prep. You gotta butter it up, and you gotta put the seasonings and everything. But yeah, it's pretty simple.
Are you not a turkey guy?
I mean, it's fine. A little overrated if you're asking. If we're being honest here.
I think actually most people would say, no, I like turkey, but I think a lot of people that I know don't seem to like turkey, or not as much. But you almost feel like you got to eat it.
I'll tolerate it.
Yeah.
But in terms of like my top proteins. 6th, 7th round pick,
Yeah.
Maybe an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, but like turkey from Bono's, fantastic.
Sure.
Turkey from the turkey.
But you know what else is good from Bono's?
Okay.
Ribs.
Yeah, ribs are good.
Sausage.
I had it twice last week.
Pulled pork. Yeah. Hamby, how you feel about it? You a big turkey guy?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I for some reason I'm with you that the Bono's is just better. It's just like, I don't know what the difference is. But maybe it's the pit. I don't know. But did they put the turkey on the pit?
What a plug.
Yeah, nice job. If it ain't a pit, it ain't legit.
It's not. But,
Nice.
I am a turkey guy, but it's cool. You have it 3 straight times. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it seems like. And then you're kind of out for a couple months.
It makes you sleepy, too.
Oh, yeah.
You keep listening to Doug Peterson back there because you got it on. Trevor Lawrence, the news out of Doug Peterson is that he will practice today and give it a go in practice. They'll see where he's at. So they haven't shut him down. I guess that's good news for Trevor possibly playing, and he's trying to go. But this is not surprising. This is exactly what I thought we would get is, okay, he'll try to go, and then Wednesday we'll get another update, and will he be limited in practice? Will he be full go? Will he talk on Wednesday? Which quarterback talks? I think that will say a lot. So that's the latest from Doug Peterson. The other thing that he said when asked about the changes that he could make during the week, he said, yes, we're going to make some changes. But then he's like, I'm not telling you, which is reasonable. He said a lot of it, they're in-house changes. And what I assume by that is how they go about doing things, right? Like what they're actually doing, teaching, talking. Rather than, like, he's not firing anybody, I guess is the point. If he was going to fire somebody, we would know about it. That's not an in-house change. The in-house change is, are they going to sit Devin Lloyd and play Ventrell Miller more? Are they going to sit Ronald Darby and play Monteric Brown? Are they going to move Eric Armstead inside like everybody wants him to be? Are they going to...
What about calling the plays? I mean, I know...
That could be.
Tired of it, but...
That could be an in-house change.
Okay.
That one, and now he knows better to say, I'm not saying this publicly.
Yeah.
Because he probably feels the way you do, like, okay, it's too late. He's just going to get ridiculed for saying it now because he didn't say it weeks ago. But I guess all this is on the table, Austin. That's what I would assume when you talk about in-house change.
Yeah.
I don't. How many times do you remember things getting mixed up during the season? Like you would go like meetings. I will say this: the schedule changed a little bit today. I don't even know if they're changing the schedule. That could be a Thanksgiving week.
No, I don't remember like a schedule necessarily changing. Like practice at a certain time, we do things a certain way. But like the only big shakeup that I remember being a part of was when it would have been, I can't remember the year now. 11, I think. 11. It would have. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2011 when Del Rio forfeited calling the plays, and Mel Tucker did.
Yeah, so that would have been...
Because even though Mel Tucker was a defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio's in charge of
11.
like the game plan. 11, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and you brought that up last week, and I kind of forgotten about that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, it's not like it was like necessary. I mean, the biggest thing that we took away from it was it got a little more simplified.
Yeah.
With Tucker.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Well, so what's interesting, Austin, is I think it might. You have to guys who have to remind me of this if you know of any instance. But I think what Doug, just to go on top, and not to pile on here, but to go on top of all this play calling stuff, I think it's very hard for a head coach to say you're the play caller in terms of Press Taylor and then take it back. I think it's easier for a guy like Jack Del Rio to say, hey, this is on me. It's not going well. I'm going to give it to you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when your head coach is saying, I'm going to pass it off, that's an easier change to make than I'm going to strip you of your duties of that.
Didn't McCarthy do that too in Dallas? Did he do that with Kellen? Did he hand it off to Kellen Moore?
He might have. I think he did.
Yeah.
But you know, you can
I agree.
say, and some of that is some of this whole thing is more of a public view, public optic thing, because my guess is when McCarthy did that, him and Kellen Moore were still kind of on the same page talking about a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So who's actually calling? We kind of feel like that's working here in Jacksonville too. It's a dug-in press show in many respects, but it's more of a label of how you do it. But my point is, Mike McCarthy wasn't saying, I'm taking it from you, Kellen Moore. I don't think.
No.
And I think that's a harder thing to do. But Doug put himself in a spot where he can't really say, okay, I'm sucking at this right now. I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Instead of, he's going to be way more loyal and say, I'm not going to take, at least publicly, he's not going to embarrass his coach, most likely, that he seems to be very loyal to, and say, hey, I'm going to take it. So you're right. It could be that.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, at the end of the day, there has to be a point though where you stop like worrying about feelings, I guess, of like, how would Press Taylor feel if you got to take it? I mean, dude, you're talking about your legacy on the line. Like, I get you're a Super Bowl champion. That's always going to be a thing. But, I mean, it's about how you go out as well.
No,
right?
I
mean, I look at Mike McCarthy, and it's like, okay, yeah, you won one in Green Bay, and that's great and everything. But what are people saying about you lately? Like, they want you gone. Like, you probably never get another shot again.
Glenn says, didn't it happen to Nate Hackett? Oh, well, yeah, Hackett, he relinquished the play calling duties in Denver. You're right. I thought you meant here. I don't think he got stripped, though, of it. Like Marrone didn't take it over or anything like that. So it's a tricky balance. Is this the easiest week to actually make changes from a personnel standpoint for the Jags? Because they had a tape that looked like crap. Mm-hmm. They watched it. Mm-hmm. And when you watch it, you know what guys are playing hard or not playing hard or making business decisions.
Especially this late in the season.
So in that locker room, they know, and almost from a credibility standpoint for Doug and for Ryan Nielsen and others, don't they almost have to make moves coming out of that game where that's unacceptable? If you got a Ventrell Miller flying around and you got other guys jogging around, and I'm not telling you I know of circumstances, I'm just saying if the tape shows that, you guys as players know what that looks like, where you're not going 120%. Maybe that becomes a very easy thing for Doug to come in on a Monday and be like, listen, we got to mix some things up. But also, these guys earned it. Go back and watch that tape or, blah, blah, blah. And here's what we're rolling out with on the first team today in practice.
So I'm going to say this, and I've been very adamant about this, because you haven't done it yet with coaching. Like, it's still the same coaches out there.
Yeah.
Okay? And you haven't done it with management. You still have the same GM. So if that's the case, then there better be a change roster-wise in terms of depth, in terms of who's playing and who's not playing. Because, yeah, the Lions are a better team than you, but they're not 52-6 better than you.
Yeah.
Okay? And it doesn't come down just, they're more talented than you, but once again, they're not 52-6 more talented than you are. So if it's not about talent, then it comes down to effort. Then it comes down to being in the right spot, trying to make a play. And it comes down to mental errors. So if it comes down to those things, then as a coaching staff, you got to go, all right, well, we can't have a repeat of that, so we got to make some changes because we have to set some sort of example. Like that's been my biggest thesis these past 2 weeks now is you got to set an example. You have to put your foot down and say, we can't have that again in some sort of capacity. So you didn't change it with the coaches. You didn't change it with management. So you got to change it with depth. So, there better be some guys playing up. There better be some guys down because if you don't and you keep it all the same again, you're essentially saying, it's all good. Yeah, we got our butts kicked, but no one's being held accountable for it.
You bring up a good point. Like, I think there's been a lot of angst around here that the Jags have not made changes. Shad has not made changes. Shad has not said anything. Doug has not made changes to his staff. But forget about the outside. On the inside of those walls, I think is what you're talking about that says, from a credibility standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from a moving forward standpoint, for some of these pillars on this team, some of the building blocks from the Trayvon Walkers, Josh Hines-Allen, Tyson Campbell's, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., like from those guys' standpoint, you better make moves if it's not where it's supposed to be. They need change too. They cannot have the status quo look like that. And maybe Austin, and you know how leadership committees work way more than me, but maybe that's even a leadership thing. Like they go in and be like, listen, what are we doing? Hey, if you're not going to change, we got to change something here. Yeah. We cannot roll things back on Monday, November 25th, and go face a division opponent the same way we rolled things out.
What kind of 2 weeks? Can you imagine? What kind of precedent is that?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's right. But I was thinking more externally. On this point of view.
Well, same. But like, if you don't change it, something's got to change, Brent.
Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully, we'll see that. And listen, I wish I watched the game back. I'm not gonna lie. The only thing I watched back was the whole when we broke it down on Friday, the Travis Etienne Wildcat play. Only play I watched back because I don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
I know what it was. Bad.
One last thing before we get to college football here, at least not last, but we'll reset at the noon hour as well. Trevor Lawrence, if you're just jumping in, he's going to practice today. So, I mean, does that say to you that he's playing?
Has to, right?
Like, why would he practice if he's not playing?
It would have to.
What are they? I mean, unless he has some crazy setback. Like, we're not talking about an ankle. We're not talking about a throwing shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. We're not really talking about anything like that structurally. Like, if they're going to let him go back on the practice, we're not talking about clearing concussion protocol. I mean, this is a non-throwing injury. If he can go out there and I guess the only thing they got to know is he can take a hit. You're not going to find that out in practice.
Correct.
So,
do you think Mac's still the backup?
Yeah, I do.
Can he hand the ball off with his left arm? Maybe that's what they got to figure out in practice.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have to figure out. But again, yeah. I got to believe he's really trending toward playing if he's out there on the practice field, unless there's something that I'm missing. Do they feel like he needs to try to give it a go? Well, if you got to try to give it a go, it's not in practice. You try to give it a go in a game.
I know.
Right? So
no, I think they have a good idea of whether, like, I don't think you're going to find anything out in the next couple of days to say, oh, he's up or he's down. I think they have a good idea of what's going to happen.
I do too. Hey, college football this weekend was wild. So have you changed your mind on the SEC all of a sudden, Hamby?
Because we spent 30 minutes talking about it last week, so can't wait to hear your thoughts about this week.
I mean, look, we had Indiana said they didn't want to be in the playoff with their performance, and the 3 SEC teams said neither do we. We're good. Bama, obviously, Ole Miss, obviously, and A&M, all 3 had a shot, and obviously that puts Georgia right back in the SEC championship.
That was wild because they were really on the outside looking in, right? They couldn't win any of the scenarios if they were tied, I think it was. And now they're They're locked in.
We are
We're the
in.
first ones in.
We're the first ones. Yeah, we'll play the winner of A&M Texas versus Texas A&M this Saturday. But it's crazy. I was just thinking about the timeline of everything Saturday, right? After Indiana goes down, I guess actually it doesn't matter about Indiana. Forget I said that. But Ole Miss is thinking, obviously, they win and they're in. And then they lose. And so Tennessee is like, all right, well, we should be in. And Bama and A&M are saying the same thing. Because A&M, that gives them a shot at getting in. And then Bama loses.
Hate to see it.
Right? And then A&M's like, oh, well, we're definitely going to be in. Because obviously they were a 7 o'clock kick too. But if you incorporate overtimes, as far as like timeline of the day, they were still playing around midnight. And then they lose. All right, so it's 3 separate teams had a shot to really pretty much clinch their spot. And now they're pretty much on the outside looking out.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So I'll get to the SEC in a second. But this was a thing not only in the SEC, but across the board. Like, Colorado had their shot.
Yes, they did.
Because BYU lost.
Yep.
And
also had a shot.
Right. BYU had their shot. And guess what? We might be getting a 4-seed Arizona State football team in the college football playoff.
Might.
Haven't watched a lick of ASU football either this year, so
yeah,
can't wait.
They survived.
And guess who took BYU? You two clowns.
Hamby, you were on the fence. Okay, wow. Somebody was on the fence, by the way, too.
Almost came back and won. They had a chance. They had a chance to come back and win. They were down big in that game.
I almost flipped my pick to BYU, too.
Yeah,
so
you almost flipped it.
Georgia, first of all, is this a good or a bad thing that they're in the SEC championship game?
I don't like it, to be honest with you.
I don't.
And they already have 2 losses.
This is not good for college football in general, and this is not an SEC thing. The fact that playing in a conference championship game could inhibit your ability to win or make the playoff, right? That's not just SEC. That could be Big 12, Big 10, whatever the case may be. We're really not Big 12, but Big 10 and SEC. And because if we win 3 and for some reason say we lose by 30 points, right? Because it's going to come down to, I think, margin of victory if you were to lose. Then do they reconsider and saying, oh, well, your third loss, whatever. Can we sneak Bama back in there? Can we sneak Ole Miss because Ole Miss beat you? Something like that. It's not a guarantee. They said they're going to look at the games, right? The committee has said, because originally it sounded like you cannot lose or be hurt by losing an SEC or a conference championship. Well, now they've come out and said in the last, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, well, we're going to look at the game. We're going to see how it's played. You can't just roll in there and get rolled and that not hurt you at all.
Does Georgia 3 loss if they lose now here's the benefit of the championship. If you win the championship, you get a bye.
Right.
So the risk reward is pretty good. The other thing
but that's a game that you just played against Texas that everybody else is not playing. So it really evens out.
Well, I guess it does even out. But at the same time, you get a bye into the biggest thing. You don't have to win 3 games then. So if you do get it, there's something to play for is my point.
Right.
Like there's a lot to play for. This isn't just a mulligan game. Texas, the thing that I don't love about it is Texas and Georgia could play 3 times.
We could.
3 times. And I think that seems a little bit too much for me.
Overkill.
But does Georgia 3 loss get in over a 2-loss Tennessee?
I don't know. I would think so because we beat them and that third loss came in the SEC championship. And the committee, they do not want to set a precedent for a team that would have been in but lost the championship.
Yeah.
Conference championship is now out.
What about 2-loss Miami? If they lose the championship. Because Miami, are they penalized for losing in the championship?
And that could be hurt. It could definitely hurt a team like that too. That didn't have a great strength of schedule. And I know strength of schedule. We don't know exactly how much it means, but still, you lost to Georgia Tech, and now you lose your conference championship. Like, can you still be in?
And then what if Clemson beats South Carolina? 2-loss Clemson, or 3-loss Georgia? Georgia beat Clemson. And then Indiana comes into play here, I think even with 1 loss based on their situation, because Georgia's ranked higher than Indiana right now. So you could lose a close game to Texas and not even drop below Indiana potentially in the rankings. It's pretty fascinating. So I think it brings a whole new set of scenarios into play based on how this next week goes. With especially Georgia playing in the SEC championship. Like the Big Ten championship looks like they got 1 loss. If they go down to 2, it probably isn't going to harm them. So that's not a big deal. Big 12, you're only getting the winner in either way. so that's not a big deal. ACC, you're most likely getting just the winner in, but we'll see how that game goes.
There's more area now because of
all the upsets this weekend.
Let me ask you this: at 3:30 or 4 o'clock on Saturday, after Indiana lost, before any of the SEC teams had played, was Indiana in or out? Take away the SEC games.
Yeah, I still thought they were going to be on the back end of it, but it was going to be debatable. It was going to be close. But the bottom line, that game was actually, the first half was an even game outside of 2 special teams plays. Which I know is a big part of it. I'm just saying, if you look at what a lot of people are going to look at the control of the game and stuff like that, that was not them getting obliterated by Ohio State. They actually controlled. They did what Ohio State did. They turned the ball over. They got a turnover. They scored a touchdown. All that. It was 2 goofy special teams plays that really tilted that game. Then the second half, it got a little bit more Ohio State.
Right. You see, I found it interesting, and this is me reading into it, which I don't believe this to be true. But Indiana's down 24 with 9 minutes to go, on the verge of getting blown out. They say, man, let's just. I don't know if we're going to go for the juggler and really try to get back in this. Let's go for a 7-minute scoring drive and really just try to get this to a 2-score game and make it look a little closer. I really wonder if that even goes through their minds.
I bet it probably did, and I think it would make a difference.
You're down 3 scores. You're trying to throw the ball down the field. They were running it almost every down. And obviously Ohio State at the very end scores another touchdown to go back up 3 scores.
You're a Big Ten guy. How good is the Big Ten? We keep talking about the SEC. Like,
why?
Is Ohio State good?
Why we keep talking about it? Is Ohio State good? I mean, I think Ohio State has athletes. I think Ohio State is a good football team. Are they number 2 in the country? I think Texas could give them a run for their money. But I think everything that they've been through so far, I think Ohio State's the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah, I think they've earned that. And they lost to Oregon, right? That was their only loss.
By 1 point.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, I mean, and Oregon, I think, is good. I think. But
they're
they find ways to win.
They're
find ways to win.
So, I mean, I look at the SEC, I'm just like, who's the second best team in the SEC right now?
I mean, it's Georgia.
Is it? You think it's Georgia?
I do.
I do think it's Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think they're better than Texas. They might be. Well, they beat Texas. Because Texas hasn't beaten anybody. No. The one that's interesting to me is, and I got caught on this. South Carolina's playing good football. Go look at South Carolina. They haven't played anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, now people will tell me they play Texas A&M. Okay, is Texas A&M good?
Right.
Like, are they good? Like, what does that mean? Because they were ranked 15th? Like, being ranked 15th doesn't mean you're good. So, I mean, the bottom line is there's a bunch of mediocrity in the SEC. And even Texas hasn't beaten anybody. They really haven't. Now, they get a chance to beat Texas A&M. I guess I would call anybody. They got thrashed at home by Georgia. And Georgia has had its own issues.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, again, this was always looked at as like a negative thing. I'm not telling you it's a negative thing. I'm just telling you what it is. Because we have so much history on the SEC being so good that people assume that it's good. The bottom line is, the reality is the SEC is average. The SEC is average. They got a lot of average teams that can beat people. They even have Florida coming back from the dead. Right?
Are you listening?
Florida and South Carolina are 2 of their better teams right now playing football.
That's our 7th and 8th best team.
Which is an average conference. They could beat any one of those teams right now. Your 7th or 8th best team. And they're not, you calling Florida and South Carolina like good?
I mean, I don't think they're good, but they're ranked. So what is good then?
Well, you got an average college football season. It's okay to acknowledge that.
I think your best team in the SEC is a former Big 12 team, and I think another Big 12 team just knocked out who a lot of people thought was like the second best team in Alabama.
Yeah.
And not only did they knock them off, if you watch the game, it was out-physicaled, outplayed Alabama in every facet of the game.
That was stunning. Like, Alabama can't get in, right?
No. Nope. Thanks for playing.
They can't.
Can I give you a scenario?
Go ahead.
So 3-loss Alabama. South Carolina beats Clemson. Whatever other stuff happens to allow that to be the deciding 12th team that gets in, because it could be. They're not that far down. I mean, so South Carolina moves up. Ole Miss is already out. Arizona State's getting in. So it becomes Alabama at 13 or South Carolina at 16. Now, Alabama's going to play Auburn. That's not a huge win. South Carolina would be a pretty big win over Clemson on the road. 3-loss South Carolina, 3-loss Alabama. Alabama beat South Carolina. But Alabama also lost to Vanderbilt and got waxed by Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And South Carolina has one good win.
Milroe has been terrible against everybody but Georgia.
Yeah.
He's going to be a first-round pick because of 120 minutes of tape against Georgia.
Well, really 20 minutes of tape.
Well, I'll go back to last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the last couple of them. But anyway, that would be Alabama. I don't think that's going to be an interesting play against if that scenario were to present itself.
Georgia wanted to go ahead and give up 21 points to UMass.
What's wild is now the ACC could get the biggest winners to me. 3 winners: Indiana, Tennessee, and the ACC.
Yes,
because the ACC might get 2 teams in now.
Right.
And actually, Clemson's knocking on that door as a not a third potential team, but one of the second teams.
Right.
Man, what a wild weekend! What a great year to have the college football playoff.
Did Doug Pearson say anything crazy yet? We can break down. Man, my head just hurting over here. Man, all these what ifs, Brent. Let's just let it play out. Let's see. Let's see.
You got to talk about it.
I get it.
I don't think there's
we spent how much time talking about Indiana and Ole Miss last week, and now what?
Well, we're still talking about them. Well,
not Ole Miss.
At least Indiana.
Ole Miss? No, Lane Train collapsed, man. And I feel dumb trying to back him up.
But I actually think, right now, Austin, this is pretty easy. If you go, Oregon is getting in. Ohio State, even if they lose, getting in. Right?
Yes.
Texas is in.
Correct.
Yes. Even if they lose.
Yes.
Now, they can't lose 2 games. Oh, no, they wouldn't even go into the SEC championship if they lost to Texas.
Right, so they're in.
So I think they're in. Penn State, in. Notre Dame
they have to be
has
to be in.
Right?
No respect for the servicemen.
So those 5 are in.
That was rough.
Okay, on top of that, you're going to definitely get an ACC. You're going to get, let's call Boise State, and you're going to get Pac-12. So you got 4 spots left.
Pac-12, you mean Big Ten?
I'm sorry, Big 12.
Well, Big 12, yes. So that's 8.
So you have those are 8. You have 4 teams left. That's Georgia, Tennessee, the loser of the ACC championship game, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, that's all you even have. Those are your 4.
And SMU, maybe, if they would have beat.
Well, that's the loser of the
right.
ACC.
Yeah.
The only thing that can come in and surprise is Alabama or South Carolina. Could they make an argument if somebody slips up? Nobody else is even in play. It's all set up, I think.
It's decided.
BYU can't do it. Texas A&M can't do it. Tulane's not doing it. Iowa State, there's only one coming from the Big 12.
Right.
So I actually think, oddly enough, I think the thing is, basically set, barring one more, mega disaster here for some, who does Tennessee play? Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Is that their rivalry game?
Mm-hmm.
So, if they lose to Vanderbilt, well, now Tennessee gets bumped out. You're getting somebody else in, opens the door for an Alabama or a South Carolina or a Clemson to come back in. But so, crazy enough, where we did have all these scenarios, I actually think this week kind of separated it, and it locked a team like Indiana into the playoff, and a Tennessee for now, at least, as long as they take care of business, into a playoff. All right, noon hour ahead. We will have more on the Jacksonville Jaguars, more on the NFL as well, coming off this weekend. And Brent Austen Show here on a Monday, short week. Don't forget, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's all we are here with you. And we'll have our Whataburger Wednesday coming up on Wednesday, as we always do. And don't forget, Whataburger Rewards members, exclusively, check your app for your special offer starting this Wednesday throughout November. From free Whata wings to breakfast and coffee, no better time than now to join the WB Rewards program. That's a Whataburger Rewards program through the month of November. Now get Whata wings, breakfast, coffee, and more. But you got to get on the Whataburger Rewards member app. Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jags Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, save 10% off a new Rinnai tankless water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Trevor Lawrence, will he play this Sunday or will he not? Hopefully they have a good idea already and they're just kind of going through the formalities right now, but all eyes will be on that storyline, probably the biggest storyline right now of the Jaguars, if Trevor Lawrence will be back or not. I'm leaning towards I think he's going to play. If it was a serious issue, you'd probably have shut him down already, given how the season has turned out. But if he still wants to play, man, I'm all for letting him play, right? That's the leader of your franchise right there. That's the general. That's the franchise guy. Let him do what he wants to do. So hopefully we'll see Trevor Lawrence back in action on Sunday. And who knows? With the parity around the NFL, you might have a chance to actually beat the Houston Texans, but we'll break that down more during the week. I want to talk about the Jags Pal, a company, a program that I'm actually familiar with in terms of amateur boxing and everything, but the Brent Austen Show and the Action Sports Jags 24/7 Network is a proud partner of Jags Pal, the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Help support their programs in Northeast Florida that give kids in our area a chance to play sports, be a part of an after-school program as well. Go to summer camp and attend events like Jags games. You can donate or be a part of the many locations around Jacksonville. Visit jagspal.org. And personally, if you ever want to see some great, combat sports and check out some of their boxing, they got a great amateur boxing program there. They have tournaments, probably like monthly, I would say. I've been there a bunch of times helping out, fighters kind of get their groove and everything and try to get their rounds in before they turn pro. So definitely a cool organization to be a part of. They do a lot for the youth and a lot for the community.
Yeah, how's the MMA youth scene, by the way? And I know you were just talking boxing with Jeff now, but is it, are we going to see, are we seeing kids get, what's the youngest age you get involved with MMA?
In this state, because it depends, because they have kids fighting at 10 years old in other states.
Do they really?
Like Mississippi, you can be 10 years old have an MMA fight.
You look like you don't like that. That's young. Because you can do a lot of the skill stuff, like jiu-jitsu,
yeah. I mean,
wrestling.
My son does wrestling and jiu-jitsu right
boxing.
now.
You can do a lot of those things, but tying them all together should come at what age?
Well, no, I mean, you can tie them all together, but I err on the side of caution when it comes to hard sparring and getting punched in the face and stuff. And like I said, I forgot I want to say the limit, the age here in Florida might be 16 or 18 in terms of when you can actually start competing in MMA, but every state is different. No, I mean, I'm all for listen, if you want to get your kid in boxing, get your kid in boxing. If you want to get him in jiu-jitsu, get him in those are all great programs because they teach self-confidence, right? They teach self-defense, which is, it's obviously important. And, I think there's something to be said for an individual sports in terms of self-growth and everything. So I'm all for that, but I also am all for keeping kids safe and making sure that they're in the right environment where, you're not getting anybody hurt or have long-lasting effects in terms of, head trauma, especially at such a young age. Now, in terms of what the MMA scene's like, I mean, we have 5 UFC fighters right now, and we have 1 PFL fighter who's won the European Championship once and's going for a second time, I think, in a couple months or so. So it's on the come up for sure, but there's definitely a lot of younger fighters coming up now too that you might see, in terms of regional promotions and hopefully, in UFC or PFL maybe 5-10 years down the line. So it's definitely a growing thing. My biggest proponent though, and you're starting to see a little bit of a shift now, and without getting too political, I think what makes Las Vegas such a great place to train is because you have gym owners in Las Vegas that understand what it is. They understand that no matter what your gym is all about, if you want your fighters to get better, you have to cross-train with other great fighters. And I think there's some gyms that'll go, hey, you got to stick with us. You have to fly our banner, and you can't go over there, or you can't do your thing over there. And when that happens, you almost create a little bit of tribalism, and you don't get the best for your fighters. So I think when you have gyms like you do in South Florida, American Top Team, when you have gyms like you do in Las Vegas, whether it's Extreme Couture, whether it's the Syndicate, you have gyms there that they know who they are. Yeah, they have the kids programs, they have the adult programs where it's just, staying in shape. But then they also understand that when you have your professional fighters, anybody is welcome there per invite request because they know the better talent that they get coming through there, maybe for a couple weeks, getting ready for a training camp, the better their fighters are going to be as well.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's just wild to watch it and fascinating to see kind of where the sport goes. Obviously, we're close to it with you, but I don't think we ever kind of broadly look at it very much other than what we know and what we see and what's in front of us, on the weekends. But there's an underbelly, and you just talked about it here in Jacksonville. It's bigger than even I knew until we've been talking about it. There's a lot of people here in Jacksonville. A lot of people just do it, but this goes all the way back to when Mercedes Lewis was doing it just to stay in shape, right? And guys like that do it just for cardio, exercise, much like people box, like the same way to do that.
Well, and I get it. When it comes to MMA, like it's always, I feel like it can be secondary in this country just because we have so many sports. Like if you look at when McGregor was in his heyday, now he's really in the low because he just got found guilty of some pretty serious charges in civil court. But when you look at like Ilia Topuria from Spain, when you look at Conor McGregor from Ireland, like, it's seems like soccer and then it's fighting, So like it's like it's so passionate. And in the States, you've had the best MMA fighter ever in John Jones, and he kind of did some self-sabotage, but like you're never going to see, a stadium full of just USA flags cheering for John Jones, right? Because you have so many other sports. But I will say this about the city of Jacksonville. You have 5 UFC fighters here. Now, there's cities like, I'm not sure even like Orlando, Miami, like I'm saying born and raised in can even claim that. Right? So it's something special there, and we all train together too, because usually when guys, bigger cities, they train at different, like, no, we cross-train together because we're all trying to help each other out. So I'm not saying, be an MMA fan and like this person on Instagram, but I'm just saying, if you want to get into it, man, because you got a lot of fighters in Jacksonville that are kind of doing their thing that kind of get, glossed over sometimes because, well, you have the Jaguars and other sports.
Yeah, but I do think it's how you do it. You grassroots that, and then you get around a local. It's cool to see a local guy. Like even if somebody flips it on, you're like, hey, it's from Jacksonville. Might never even heard of him, right? And then it's from Jacksonville. You're a little different circumstance there, but people have heard of you. So, I think that's how it grows. And of course, we've been a backyard for some of the UFC stuff.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
So that goes hand in hand as well. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, noon hour here on a Monday. Just to catch you up a little bit, the noontime news, I'll do it. Don't worry, Hamby. Trevor Lawrence is practicing today. We think that means really good signs for him to play on Sunday. Doug Peterson also saying that they'll let the week play out and see what it's like for him. But the fact that he's on the field is, I think, a very positive sign for him playing. The other thing Doug Peterson said, probably the headliner, is they're changing some things. What they are, they're not going to tell us. It's in-house kind of stuff. My belief is that looks like probably changing some guys around in their roles. Could they sit down a Darby? Could they sit down a Lloyd? Could they move a Armstead inside? Could you get Ventrell Miller on the field more? Could you get Monteric Brown on the field? Just those kind of things. What do they do at the safety spot? Defense to me seems like more changes. You've got injuries on the offense. You got Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk, so you have limited things to do there. We'll see how Tank Bigsby comes back and ETN, but those guys are going to play. I don't see why you would sit one versus the other or anything like that. And obviously the quarterback change, if Trevor comes back, will be the most significant thing on the offensive line. I don't even think you'll make any kind of changes on the offensive line. I think it is what it is. So offensively, there's really not a lot other than going back to the well and figuring out what you do well. The Doug Peterson said, hey, we're going to go back and do some of the things that we were doing well or we think we have done well. What does that look like? And we were talking again last night at the sports office. It seems like everybody's got whether it's the motion, whether it's just something a little different, tricky, looks a little fun element of their offense. When you're watching all the other NFL games, it feels like you see that stuff. You feel like you see so much more spacing, especially on the good offenses. There was a time last year, a couple years ago, I'd be like, man, it's a players' league. You got to make a play. I don't feel that way with the Jags as much. I don't feel like they're in a position to make plays too much. We've seen them make plays in losing efforts. Brian Thomas Jr.'s made a bunch of plays. Evan Ingram made a heck of a play. I don't think that's it. I think it's more like, how do they get this offense back in sync and in a rhythm and look a little bit more like everybody else? It was a couple years ago where they were running Jamal Agnew all over the backfield before the snap. Christian Kirk was in the backfield on plays. Where are some of these things? Like why can't we get ETN and Bigsby in the backfield at the same time and at least play out of that for a snap or 2 or 5 or whatever it takes? So I got to believe that's what Doug's kind of going back to, and maybe that's what he means by all that in-house stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. I guess we'll find out. But I don't think we're going to find out until inactives come out and Sunday. Maybe they get Mason Smith on the field. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, right? And maybe he keeps it under wraps in terms of, like we alluded to, to start the show off today, will he be calling the plays going forward? But then let me ask you this, Brent. And we've touched on this so many times, but it's been the festering storyline this entire season. So you just can't shy away from it because it's on the tip of everybody's tongue. So let's say that Doug Peterson now does call the plays, and you play against an easier schedule, so you win 5 of those games, whatever you want to call it. Go on a nice little bit of a run. Then does that justify him keeping his job, even though, because to me, it's going to make him look bad. To me, it's going to look bad if Doug Peterson's calling the plays, he wins, and then you have your exit interview with Shad, and Shad's like, well, I thought, remember when I kind of hinted at, I want you to call the plays, but you thought you knew better than me, and then maybe I knew the whole time, and then we won some games, and now you want to keep it, how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. I think what you're bringing up is there a way to fix it for Doug?
Yeah.
And because has he made his bed? And again, this goes way back. This goes all the way back to really last week's conversation a lot, but a lot of other conversations of transparency. Why can't you say this or that? Have you put yourself in a corner? Mm-hmm. Did he put himself in the corner with the playbook stuff? And the bottom line is, if it went bad, we thought this could happen. And it's gone bad. And it's happened. And so all those things that you just brought up, I think are true. It just depends how much Shad wants to look at it and forgive him or forget it or move on or what. I don't know that. I think we could sit here and be very critical of whatever Doug does, whether he takes play calling back, even if they win football games, if they make changes, it could definitely be viewed as, okay, why didn't you do that earlier?
Well, exactly, because then it's almost like a throwaway season.
Yeah. Why did you wait 11 games?
Correct.
When were you going to fix this? And that goes to the conversation that we had a lot of times. They have looked like a coaching staff and, quite frankly, an organization here in 2024 that is waiting for it to happen. We have said that since week 2. Waiting for it to happen, waiting for someone to make a play, waiting for all this stuff that they put in place to actually work.
It's double Dutch, man. Everyone's just waiting for that jump.
That's right.
Let me see.
You bring that up once every couple of weeks, right? The double Dutch. Well, that's what it is. That's what it's been. Mm. And now they're going to change. And I do understand this, and I appreciate this. As I say this, when you put all the work in the offseason, when you put all the work in August, it's hard to just put all that work in and then be like, okay, we're going to rip it up. That's you kind of are who you are. So that's why I always say the plan was messed up. Your plan was not right. I actually thought the one thing they did fix that I thought was unfixable, if you want to go back to week 2, is in week 3, is the offensive line got off to a horrendous start. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh boy, this is what they are. They made their bed. You can't go get 5 new offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. This is not going to work. Well, crazy enough, they really, over that next month, they switched it. They played well. They got better. See, that's an example of, all right, stay to what we had as a plan. Now that you're a little forced to in the offensive line situation, but stay with the plan, get better. It actually did. They actually got better on the offensive line. But I think the coaching staff and this organization was waiting for every position to do that, waiting for the defense to do that, waiting for the offense to finally get a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, waiting for all of it. And we're 11 weeks in, and we haven't seen hardly any of it. See a glimpse here or there. You can actually say you've seen worse of it. It's regressing over these last few weeks, especially on the offensive side. Some of that with Trevor, of course, out of the lineup. I can see that. I think everybody can see that. But it's been beyond just Trevor on offense. And the defense has been bad most of the year.
One thing, though, and once again, this is just playing kind of like the devil's advocate here, but going back to what we talked about in the first segment of the show. Say the Jaguars go on a miraculous run. They run the table. Now all of a sudden we're talking about is Doug Peterson staying. Do you let Ryan Nielsen go then? Because and once again, I guess it depends, right, what it looks like these past 6-7 games, whatever the case may be. I understand that, but don't you feel like there's something that has to be changed? Even if you do win out, perfect world, you do win out. There's got to be some sort of change, you would think.
Well, I would just argue this. What if the defense gives up 18 points a game over the last 6, and really starts playing well.
More power to you, I guess.
I mean, I don't know what that looks like. Listen, this is, I guess let's just get to that point. And I know we're playing a lot of what ifs today, and why not? Since they didn't make any changes, like it's not an absurd storyline. But this either has to be a reset, or you think you're good enough to keep it together. It's hard for Doug. Let's just put Doug in this position. Okay, defense, I think you could fire him after 9 games, quite frankly. And that's pretty bad to be able to do that. If he fires him after the year, so he fired Caldwell and he fired it, that's 2 bad hires. Like, that's on you too, right? Like, so what are you saying? What does that look like? What if you do what the Eagles did? We just had this conversation an hour ago. Fire a defense coordinator, and you actually let go Press Taylor. I know nobody believes that, but let's just say you did it. Like, does that mean you can come back?
No,
can
I
you
don't
keep
think so.
Doug and most of the staff, just get new coordinators, and then also go get a new GM and put the Baselli situation in place? Can you do that and keep Doug? I actually do think there's a world that you could keep Doug and reset everything else if you really, really wanted to. I just don't think that's a world that's going to happen.
Be a little more realistic.
Yeah, and where do you put? Honestly, if they got to 7 wins, does that let Balky off the hook a little bit? Because you're like, look, we got to 7 wins.
7 and 10 is not acceptable. I'm sorry.
I know, but that you could blame the coach. You said, hey, we have a good roster. Why didn't the coach win more? So who does that go in favor of? If they win 7 games, who's got a better lease on life here in Jacksonville, Balky or Peterson?
I mean, I think it'd probably be Balky more than Peterson. But once again, we've been over this. Like, if Peterson's gone, Balky's gone. If Balky's gone, then Peterson. It's got to be a clean, because history has shown us now that you can't do it the other way.
Yeah, it's got to be. And one thing about big picture NFL, watching it. I don't get a chance to watch NFL every week like most people. Or oddly enough, I just catch the primetime games in the Jags game. Outside of the last probably 10 minutes of the 1 o'clock window, I thought it was boring. Is the NFL product not as good this year? And listen, it's been unbelievable. I'm more NFL than college guy. Like, I thought I was way more. It was bad football at times in college on Saturday, but I was actually more into it than each game. Now, there's this other thing that keeps your attention. There's so much volume of college football, like you can flip around and find everything. Mm-hmm. And where the NFL, you're obviously limited in the window. We kind of like all this stuff going on at one time. This isn't a conversation of what's better, college or NFL. I'm just telling you that I don't get to sit back and watch very often. And I feel like the haves and have-nots of this football season have presented a pretty boring product most of the time. Now, I say that the end of the Dallas game, the end of the Bears game, there was some electricity in those games. I understand.
Of course, yeah.
But even the Washington and Dallas game was a comedy of errors, most likely. It wasn't a good. It was like watching Auburn and Texas A&M the other night.
I hear you. But then, what's a good football game? You want high scoring, bad defense? Like, that's what you mean? What do you?
I think I'm trying
because I think the Steelers Browns game was good.
Actually, that was entertaining in part because of the snow, but it was good. Yeah, but what was the Thursday night game, Hamby, the other 2 weeks ago? That was a really good game. Didn't we get one 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Well, I mean, you had the Commanders Eagles. So it was Thursday night 2 weeks ago.
Was that the one that went down to the wire? Like, somebody said that was the best Thursday night game in a while.
That was Ravens-Bengals.
Oh, Ravens-Bengals. That was
Bengals. Okay.
3 weeks ago.
That was 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like a good football game, right?
November
Like, it
7th.
felt good. It didn't feel like a comedy of errors.
Sure.
It felt like people were flying around. They were hard hitting. They're good quarterback play. You got a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. It just felt like a good game. I don't want to quantify it. I don't know if it's good offense or good defense. I just feel like you can tell when something's kind of stuck in the mud. Which really, the Washington and Dallas game was stuck. It was 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
And then they scored 41 points.
Offensive explosion.
Right. And 2 of them were on special teams, right? And again, that part was fantastic. That was the best part of the day. But even the Eagles game last night, I mean, Saquon was terrific. The game wasn't that great. The Packers-Niners game wasn't good.
Well, it was a blowout.
Right? You're getting the Denver doesn't play a fun style of ball to watch. Honestly, they try to muddy everything up.
Yeah, I mean, I truly think that the product of football, it's gonna only be as good as your starting quarterbacks will allow it to be. I think what was lacking in the Dallas game was, well, you had Cooper Rush. I think, what was lacking against the Packers for an game, which I watched, was the fact that you had a backup quarterback in San Fran. I think. The quarterbacks will always be the star of the league, no disrespect to Saquon, but it's a quarterback-driven league. And if you don't have quality quarterbacks playing, we saw it in Las Vegas a little bit. Gardner gets hurt. You saw it in New York, obviously, a fourth string, essentially. Tommy DeVito is playing. I think it hurts the product.
Yeah, so you guys look at this as different. You play fantasy football, right, Hamby? I don't know if you're betting on it. You're betting on it. You're
of course.
Playing fantasy football. I'm not. So I think in a way you don't care about necessarily what it looks like because you're locked into what's impacting. Now we do our pools and our picks and things like that, so I do have a little bit of vested interest in that from my standpoint, some selfishness to it. But again, I don't get many opportunities to just sit there and watch it. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I feel like years. I saw something come out in the NFL research, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and they shocked the hell out of me. It said that this was like the most games that were X close through whatever weeks.
Okay.
I was like, really? I feel like there's been blowouts like left and right in the NFL. I feel like we've had way better years. We're like, holy cow, what a finish. Holy cow, what another week. This week is amazing. What a game. Like, give us a game on Tuesday night. I don't feel like we're asking for that this year. And nobody's fault. I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying I just think it's that kind of year. Much like it's okay to acknowledge the SEC is an average year this year for the SEC. It just is. So just an observation I had watching the game. It doesn't mean we're not going to get a great playoffs or anything like that. But I do wonder, actually, are we going to get a great playoff? Even the best team in the league in the AFC has been pedestrian in doing it.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs are, they're not that fun to watch.
Sure. But are they a lock to go to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I don't think so.
No. I almost wonder, though, guys, I'm starting to think, are the Lions so much better than anybody else that they're just going to throttle them all?
Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eagles.
And I do wonder about the Bills.
And you're sleeping, I know, and you're sleeping on Minnesota too, man. But Minnesota's a good team. Keep trying to tell you.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
I mean, they have one of the better defenses. What is this? Who's better? Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, we got this one
tonight.
This is a good storyline. This is a fun storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got the Ravens.
Yeah, I think we both took the Ravens in our picks. I got the Ravens too. I just think it's a must-win game. It's crazy to say it's a must-win game for anybody right now in the season, but I feel like it's a must-win game for that culture in Baltimore.
Why do you say that?
Well, because if you lose, then you go, 7-5?
Yeah.
And we're probably talking, you could still contend with the Steelers, but I just think where expectations are, having an MVP-type quarterback, obviously your defense isn't playing that well, but I just feel like for momentum purposes and who you are, we're ready to crown them at least going to the championship at the start of the season, and now they've kind of, slipped a little bit. I just feel like it's a game that they got to win.
Yeah, I like this storyline tonight. I'm not sure I'm super intrigued by the game. I think the Ravens are a good bit better than the Chargers, but Chargers defense has been good, so they'll probably stay in it.
They're on a 4-game winning streak too.
Yeah,
Chargers.
They know how to win. He's got them winning. They feel good. They actually got a feeling like the Lions, like they're having a lot of fun, right? Mm-hmm. And Harbaugh, he can have all his, quirkiness. Mm-hmm. Campbell has some quirkiness to him. Yeah, this is a cool story. You know what else is interesting about this? I think both of these guys are easy to dislike at times. But I actually kind of like them.
I like them too.
You guys like them?
Yeah.
Really? I'm surprised everybody likes Harbaugh. Jim? Yeah.
But see, I think it's got to, listen, I think people were kind of on the fence about him. Maybe they still are. But I think the results speak for themselves. Like, to go to Los Angeles, essentially gut your whole offense, to come out and be 7-3 right now and talking about a playoff spot, like how can you not respect Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, terrific coach.
Like, you don't gotta like him, but you better respect him.
Yeah, you do. That's funny. We all think Hamby, did you say Ravens too?
No, I actually had the Chargers.
Do you? Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, the crazy part about that whole division in the West is they're really good on defense. The Chiefs, the Chargers,
Broncos,
and the Broncos. The Raiders are a different story, but yeah, they also have Bo Nix isn't those guys, but they have two really good quarterbacks. But their defense it's really a defensive division. It's actually a lot like the AFC North.
The way that, you're not wrong. Like, they may be, and once again, the Raiders are kind of the Raiders, right?
Yeah, take them out.
I mean, take a couple years from now, it could be a three-way battle. I mean, if Bo Nix truly is what he's starting to look like, and I think he's the candidate now to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Because his numbers are getting that much better than Jaden Daniels over the past couple weeks. It's an exciting division.
I think Jaden Daniels had a little bit of a wall, too. I know he flurried a little bit in the fourth, but he looks bad sometimes.
He's lost 3 in a row.
And he might be playing hurt. And I said that last week. I thought he had kind of hit a little bit of a ceiling. And again, sometimes the league corrects in the middle of the year. Sometimes it corrects in the next year, like we're seeing with a little bit with C.J. Stroud. I will admit this, and I don't like admitting it. Now, I did like Broncos earlier this year to be better than people thought.
No, you did, yeah.
But I'm not a huge Sean Payton guy. Like, at all.
So you want to, because you probably didn't, go ahead.
But he's done a great job.
You didn't listen on Friday? So we had an exercise where we picked any coach from the NFL. I think, was this Hamby here for this, or was that Thursday we did this?
I believe that was Thursday.
Sorry, it was Thursday. Pick any coach you want from the NFL to coach your team right now. And obviously, I think Dan Campbell was mine.
Oh, yeah.
But I said a close second might be Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because, listen, he goes to Denver, the whole Russell Wilson situation, get rid of Jerry Jeudy. It was a mess there in Denver. And I think a lot of people were ready to write off Sean Payton.
Well, and he seemed like he could have been an overrated coach, and I think I might have said that, right? He won the one ring. They won a lot of football games. They did a lot of great things. But he had Drew Brees.
Sure.
So it was like, was it him? Was it Payton?
Yeah.
And he just comes off as kind of, he has
a little arrogance to him.
Oh, a lot. He's from the Parcells tree, right? So he's got that. But I got to give him credit, man. I mean, what he did with Russell Wilson last year, until they benched him.
Well,
remember, Russell Wilson was like 23-4 or something like that. It was something crazy. And now what he's doing with Bo Nix.
Who's Bo Nix? I mean, you still have Cortland Sutton and everything, but who else is he throwing to?
What bothers me a little bit about a guy, or maybe it just shows you where it can be, because I still look at what's happening in Jacksonville with their offense, and I say, okay, look what O'Connell's doing with Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what Peyton's doing with Nix. And see, what we would be for would be like, well, look at what Shanahan's doing with Purdy. Oh, they got all these weapons. Okay, well, Darnold does have Justin Jefferson.
He's got some weapons.
He does. But Jags have weapons too. Like, the Jags don't have nobody.
Sure.
The Jags have more weapons than Denver.
Oh, without a doubt. Dude, I'm taking Denver. I'm taking Jacksonville's skill positions, running game, tight end, any day of the week.
But doesn't it show, my point is, doesn't it show that, you can coach it?
Of course.
You can do better. You can sit here and blame Trevor and Mac and all this other stuff. It's you can coach it. The other thing that I'm watching the NFL is Trevor's way more consistent than a lot of these other quarterbacks around the league. I mean, Caleb Williams has ups and downs. Jaden Daniels, ups and downs. C.J. Stroud, ups and downs. Jordan Love, I mean, he's very good, but he also throws the ball to the other team a lot.
Sure.
Right? So, you talk about guys that consistently get it done right now, and there's not many. I mean, Mahomes is winning with his legs more than he's winning with his arm right now. So the whole thing is, okay, Trevor might have some blame in this game. He certainly does. But we're seeing other people do it and avoid the weaknesses. And I think that's why this coaching staff, you can't just say it's Trevor, or you can't say it's this. This coaching, it's showing around the league that it can be done.
Sure. But then on the other side of that part, though, is, okay, look at Brian Daboll. Look at what he did in Buffalo with Josh Allen. He goes to New York, and it seems like he doesn't have a clue what's going on half the time. Yeah. So, sometimes, and once again, I think you are right. I mean, especially with a young quarterback like Bo Nix. I didn't expect him to do anything. And I think, obviously, Sean Payton may have been the best thing that ever happened to Bo Nix. Then I look at Daboll, it's okay, well, you were essentially hired on to New York because of what you did with Josh Allen. Right? And, okay, can Daniel Jones be that guy? We'll find out. Well, he's not. So then all of a sudden you have to ask yourself the question of, did Josh Allen really make Brian Dable more than did Brian Dable actually make Josh Allen?
Yeah. He might have. It's such a big gap between what he has to work with.
True.
True. But I get your point. I mean, they just feel like they don't have much to work with. But I'm also not defending Dable. I mean, they might have to reset it there too.
No, I hear you. And like, I get maybe James Cook, but like, are you really going to take Buffalo skill receivers over a lot of teams in the NFL right now?
No.
You going to take Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel and Amari Cooper when he's actually playing on my fantasy team and not on the bench costing me points? Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of better skill position teams out there than the Buffalo Bills.
A Propane Man, which is a great handle there, says Sean Payton is miles better than Doug. See, I don't know I believe that. Or I didn't believe that. I think Doug's a good offensive mind. I think Doug knows how to coach.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
right now it's not pushing the right buttons. Like, it's a hard thing to say right now if you're looking at Sean Payton and Doug Peterson. I get it, but I don't think Doug Peterson forgot how to coach.
365 days ago, you would not have said that even close.
No, I mean, again,
nobody would have said that a year ago. But to me, what makes a great coach, especially an offensive-minded coach, is how's your quarterback playing? How's Trevor doing right now? I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I bet. I don't even want to say it. I'm sure Bo Nix probably has a little better numbers than Trevor Lawrence does. And that hurts to say. Like, that's got to be somewhat on coaching, yeah?
Yeah.
And I think with what Sean Payton's been able to do with, once again, that 1 year with Russell Wilson, even though it ended horribly, Russell was playing at an okay level. And then we see what he did with Drew Brees for all those years. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good resume. And I get Doug's got the Super Bowl, but if you want to put at quarterbacks, like, you know, you had Carson Wentz at an MVP year and Doug Peterson. Nick Foles wins a Super Bowl, but what else has he really showed besides a decent year with Trevor?
Yeah. I think if this was a real strong debate, it would be hard.
I'm not saying Miles better, but he's obviously better.
I think it would be hard to win the debate. I'm just telling you how I feel. Like, I don't feel like Doug is that bad a coach. I think he can't. He got a lot out of Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. Like, he's proven that he can do it. He did they resurrected Alex Smith, and I know that was a lot of credit to Andy Reid. Like, there's pedigree here for Doug to showcase he does it. Why has he lost his fastball? You know, does this have a little Urban in him? Like, where Urban just like lost his fastball? It looked like he was a different guy coaching. Has Doug lost a little bit of that? Like, now I'll say this about Sean Payton and Bo Nix. They also have a very good defense. And so their defense sets them up and helps them. And so you're battling your defense and the other team's defense in Jacksonville right now.
Here's also the difference. Isn't Sean Payton calling the plays too in Denver?
Well, probably, right? I got to believe.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, Mike, I'll go back to that.
There you go.
Hey, we're going to have Cam Little on Jags Report live tonight. He was really fun last time out, so hopefully you can come on out and you can watch on Fox 30 as well. Great personality. We're going to have some fun tonight, giving away a $1,000 Beards Jewelry gift certificate as well. So come on out, Jags Report live tonight, 7 o'clock, String Sports Brewery in Springfield. You got to be present to win. So make it happen. Come on out. Have some fun with us on this Thanksgiving week. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, The mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I don't know what he said to you either.
So I said, watch out.
Hey, High School 912 is a program that was starting to help high school kids on their path, and they've done that with the ACT, SAT boot camps, leadership academies, social media seminars. I've been a part of that before. Scholarship programs, sporting events like local media days. Got an upcoming basketball tournament, the Fortegra Invitational, and we are going to have those games right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network in partnership with High School 912. See how you can get involved at jackshighschool912.com, and we're really looking forward to 2 weeks away from these basketball games. We'll have the semifinals and the finals, and we might actually have some of the preliminary games too throughout. There's 10 games in total. We're shooting for trying to get maybe 9 of them, 9 out of the 10 in that tournament on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Stay tuned for more on that, some of the best area high school basketball teams in action. their basketball season is here, not only in college but in high school as well, as we wind down the fall sports season in the high school ranks. Last 10 times Alabama has lost on the road. Look at the storming. You know,
of course.
I did not know
Tired
this.
of it.
I did not know this.
Let them have fun, Hamby.
And did I see this right, first of all? Because sometimes I'll see something in just scrolling through Twitter, and I'm like, okay, that's fact.
Yeah.
And I'll forget to really look at it. But this one made sense to me, so I think it's right, but I didn't know it. That, where were they? Oklahoma. So Oklahoma gets fined $100,000 by the SEC, right? It's not an NCAA thing; it's an SEC thing.
Yeah.
And the money goes to Alabama,
right? The other school. I saw that.
So I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Is it kind of like a safety protocol thing?
Well, of course,
stress and duress.
But it's in this day and age in football, is $100,000 a lot of money?
That's a
Not
3-star.
really. Yeah, it's nothing.
So
that's a punter. A punter's making that NIL.
Yeah, that's right. The punter making it.
It's not a big deal.
But I didn't know that goes to the other team. And then I didn't know if this part was tongue in cheek, but they stormed the field twice, so they get fined twice.
Yes,
oh,
twice.
I didn't know that.
$200K each. That's why Georgia got $400K when Ole Miss did it twice.
I mean, that's unbelievable. So I don't know.
Are you for it, Brent, or are you against it?
I don't know if we need to be making Alabama richer. Okay.
I know, but
we'll take the $400K.
Yeah.
I don't listen. We had this debate last year with the whole Duke thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were we on? It was,
of course,
It was early February, right?
Yeah, who's the player that?
It was Filipowski, right?
Filipowski, you're right. Yeah.
You know, and there's
Came back
the next game.
He came back a week later.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark stuff.
Yeah.
Dude's getting the Kerry Struggs treatment.
But let's be honest. If you saw the Texas A&M game, the kid drops the ball and he's laying there, and then because he's in distress because he just dropped the football for the 2-point conversion, and they've got people storming. I mean, there is a catastrophe waiting to happen on this storming the court. Field stuff and storming the court. Now, does that mean you shouldn't do it? I don't know. I like the scene. I'm cool with the scene. But do I think we're playing with fire a little bit and there's going to be something sooner or later that gets over the top? You're talking about a lot of drunk people.
Oh, yeah.
Too, not acting in their right. The Arizona State guy, do you see him?
Dillingham,
he was tackled. No, not Dillingham, the coach, but the fan.
I love Dillingham.
Well, the fan, though, was also
Dillingham's got to relax, man.
He was arrested on the field because he was doing, I forget exactly what he was doing.
Also, can we talk about Dillingham real quick where, hey, you're going to use that language to NCAA officials and not get a penalty against you? Because I guarantee if a player says that, you're getting 15.
Yeah.
No?
No, you're right.
I mean, you're not going to go. I mean, he said how many expletives towards the reffing, and there's
more and more comes out. Now,
and the poor sideline reporter
they're
who's
just
waiting is just right there, just like,
yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, sure.
I've got to tell you this,
but you have a player go like this. Oh, that's 15.
Yeah. No kidding.
He's got guns.
But how many times do these guys get cussed at or swore at and not get? They've got to be able to take that. You can't be throwing flags at kids. I mean, I see coaches swearing all the time.
Okay. It's a good thing I'm not a ref.
It's crazy. Florida.
That would have been 30 right there.
Florida, Ole Miss. I think Marcel and I were joking about it, even with Stewart, at least 7 times in the last 3 minutes, almost after every play. PA announcer, we want to remind fans, please not throw anything on the field and make sure you do not, or any trespassing on the field will be prosecuted or whatever to the full extent of literally after every play in the final
Florida
2
doesn't
minutes.
do it.
Yeah.
Florida doesn't do it. And they actually have more security because a couple of weeks ago, Spurrier said, storm the field if you win.
Let's go. Dude, I'm just saying, if I was a ref and Dillingham got my face like that, I'm throwing a flag, I'm pushing you, and I'm throwing another flag.
Well,
he also has some interesting stuff post game to say about the collective, like NIL stuff.
Yeah, he did. Send it our way. What did he say? What was the quote?
He wore like a Sun Devil collective shirt, and they asked him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we need more. We need more money. You know, I'm doing more, or we are doing more with less right now, and it's great, but that doesn't last in college football. We got to pay these guys; they deserve it. So if you enjoyed today's product, send some money our way."
Yeah, he was trying. Well, it's amazing. What a sales job. By the way, we were in the New York Post. And we had millions of views over the weekend. If you want to support the program here on Action Sports Jacks 24/7, please send us some money. Can we put a QR code up, please?
We drop my Venmo.
I mean, hey, if we're going to do it, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Right?
$100 can get you another call out to Ian Rapoport, and I'll say some really nasty stuff. For $200.
What if we put your logo on the next potential viral video?
If you pay $500 right now, Brent Martineau will give Doug Peterson all the hardest questions. He's got some still in the chamber he's been waiting for.
That's right. That's right. I will get after Doug this week at the Newsword if we reach a certain total.
Yes. I mean, Houston, hey, could be a pretty good game to get after him with. We'll see.
Yeah, listen. We might not be that far away from that kind of stuff.
Let's go.
I'm saying it out loud, and I'm like, we might be onto something here.
I like it, man.
Or somebody already onto something.
I mean, streaming has become the big thing on Twitter now, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, and so they do everything. They do goofy things on Twitter, streaming.
Yeah, there's no rules there, Brent.
No rules.
There is no rules there.
We can do super chats also. If you pay, the person in the chat's name comes up in a certain color, and that person's question or whatever is guaranteed to be asked, and they talk about it.
We've actually talked about doing stuff like that. You can get to that point. What's the thing? I always get the word messed up. What they do on like the podcast world and stuff. It begins with a P.
Patreon.
Yeah.
It's just extra content.
Yeah. But you subscribe to it.
We're
gonna get that soon enough. More Delphonic illustrations.
Now we're talking.
Under the Patreon.
That's it.
Under the Patreon?
Yeah, we'll give you a cut. Delphonic. One thing about Dillingham, though, he's just doing a tremendous job. I mean, Arizona State on the map, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Perfect year.
Herm
like
Edwards
you said,
couldn't do it.
Colorado messed it up. Like, no, BYU messed it up. Utah's had all the quarterback issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, just it's a pillow fight in the Big 12. And they're right there. But in that exchange, if you guys haven't seen the exchange in the end of the game, he about lost his damn mind.
Yeah. I know.
I mean,
but he looks like
he's
how
possessed.
old is he, by the way?
I know he looks like he's like 28.
Yeah,
but he looks possessed.
He does,
and it's something about like coaches and football coaches specifically that they get in. Now, he does a lot of good things. I'm sure he's probably great with the kids. I'm not trying
he's
to.
34 years old, by the way.
It's just wild, like how intense the football guy is.
That's literally that coach. That what coach was that pushed his player?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was the same thing. That's my point. Like that happens in football.
Didn't even push him, but then got into the guy's face and wouldn't leave him alone. Yeah.
But are we? How close are we to where that's like, dude, you look like a fool. Don't say
Brad,
that.
Hey man, it's course correction, man. Bringing old school ways back around again. Let's go.
Don't worry.
Will that always be a part of it?
There's no audio on this. Don't worry.
I don't think so. Not with NIL.
But I mean, just look at his eyes. Now he's out of control.
Like
it's crazy. They're reviewing it right here.
I know it. This is pretty wild.
By the way, This is kind of unacceptable. I think
it is a little unacceptable because there was 1 second left.
The guy's trying to entice a riot here.
Right there. There's no way.
How tall is he? Not that tall, huh? No, not that tall.
But I would say this, guys. In this kind of scene,
that's horse crap,
right?
Something like it.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, see, that's what
that lady right there,
dude. If I'm a rep, you're not.
That lady right there.
You aren't talking to me like that.
By the way, if that's me, where the reporter is, forget about everybody else for a second. I'm like starting to be like, oh boy, this could get ugly.
Right there,
right?
That's almost up.
And you're in the middle of it. See, I believe, and this, I do not want to be self-righteous, Brent here.
Everyone's got their cell phones out too.
But I believe, and this is a young coach.
You think?
But this is, to me, worth bringing him in and being like, dude, you cannot do this in this setting. Like, you can be pissed off, but not in that setting. Like, you've got all these people on the field, and you're almost helping incite.
Of course.
The mob scene, right? And, I mean, the cops are actually holding him. The cops are right there and actually slow him down right here, I think, at the end of it. I think that one of the cops is like, hey, stay back.
Yeah. No, you're
right here.
Watch
you're
egging him on.
I think right here with the ref. Maybe I was wrong. Right here.
Guy in the blue jersey is not doing anything about it. Like the guy with I don't know if he's like an official or what he was with the long hair did nothing.
Nothing. But I'm telling you, like if I'm an administrator, I'm watching that video and I'm like, listen, you're doing an awesome job. We love you.
Sure.
But learn from this without something happening.
Tone it down.
But you can't do that in that spot. You can't do that. Like if a kid did that, we'd be hammering the kid, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a grown-ass man.
That's supposed to be
the head coach.
The leader of the kids.
Yeah. So, like, you can't, and again, I'm not trying to be self-righteous, crazy. Guy's done a phenomenal job. It's a unique situation. It's a heater of a moment.
No,
it's intense.
I'm gonna say it again, Brent, and I get that coaches get away with more, but if a player does that, you're getting 15. Simple as that.
You're not only getting 15, but the coach is then grabbing them and punishing them and running them the next day and using them as examples.
Someone's got to grab Kenny Dillingham.
So somebody's got to grab him, and maybe they did. But if that administration should say something to him today or Sunday or whenever it was about listen, man, you can't do that. You as the leader, you can't. Somebody's got to grab it. So
or just take the MMA approach and be like, I don't even give a bleep, and then just totally play the heel. Let's go.
Sideline reporter tweeted, I've been getting tagged in a lot of tweets about the post-game shenanigans during today's game. I just want to say, during the craziness at Kenny Dillingham sent his all-caps security team with me to make sure I was made out safely. He was extremely concerned about my well-being in the midst of the field storming, and I'm grateful. Okay, carry on. Congrats to the win.
Well, that's good.
Good.
That, by the way, is good. But there were also 10,000 other people on the field that he wasn't sending security with. You know what I mean? And by the way, security wasn't doing a damn thing about that if something really went amiss in the moment.
Yeah.
Good thing it didn't happen, but also a good learning lesson, I think. And it's just some of that's just the intensity of it. I get you want to win, but you got to be in that moment. You got to be able to calm down in that moment.
I gotta start chewing gum. I think all the psychotic coaches got gum chewing going.
But there's something about being a psychotic football coach that's the norm.
It's for sure.
But I wonder if it's too normalized at times.
I want to see more of it in college basketball again. Bring back Bobby Knight throwing some chairs. I don't know, man.
And their $5,000
Bruce Pearl would be Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl just, he's the Don. He's chilling.
Hey, we'll do it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Cam Little tonight. Jags Report Live, String Sports Brewery, 7 o'clock on Fox 30. If you go, you got a chance to win a $1,000 Beards Jewelry gift card. So hopefully you can hang out with us tonight at String Sports Brewery. Have a good one, everybody.